Hello and welcome to the SuperShow Podcast, a gaming podcast about nothing in particular. That's a new one for you. Joining me today is Jamie and Jonesy, even though I said they weren't going to be on after last week's fiasco of a start. But here they are, so, you know.
You couldn't find any replacements?
Yeah, I mean, I put my feelers out, and no one took the bait, so I'm stuck with you.
That's translated into, I text Steph and he didn't reply, so here we are.
Yeah, Steph and Martin Ruffle, and that was it.
Yeah, but before we jump into it, just on Steph, I was reminded the other day just how bad he was about reading our comments during the live streams.
What, did you go into one of his?
No, it came up on one of my live streams, but there we go.
Okay, there you go.
Anyway, we are a gaming, fucking hell, one of these gaming things that you can consume into your eyeballs and your ear holes. And we're available on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, fucking Deezer, Stitcher, I'd Love Your Mother's Radio, whatever it is, as well as YouTube. And not only that, fellas, but we are available Thursday nights, 10 p.m. on PaisleyRadio.com. We love being on there.
Slot of the week.
Yeah, we love being on there, and hopefully they love playing our shit, because we can get a bit racy sometimes.
That's why they give us the late slot. We're on at like 11 p.m, aren't we? Right?
10 p.m.
10 p.m. There you go. We can't offend anyone.
Hey, listen, 10 p.m. is like 8 p.m. somewhere in the world. So, you know,
true.
Internet radio is global, buddy. I just want you to know this.
Technically, if you get to the right part of the world, we're a morning show. So,
so good morning.
That's so true.
What was
really
it?
True.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
What was
the Truman Show thing? Good morning,
good afternoon, good evening, and good night. And it was it. If I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.
Do you know what? The thing is, I've only seen that film once, and I don't remember it because I was in the middle of having an epiphany as a result of eating my first ever Taco Bell. Jonesy was actually there to witness it.
What?
Was I?
Yeah, you were. We were in Los
at
Angeles. Yeah, it was in E3.
Was that the first time you saw the Truman Show? You weirdo.
Yeah, and I didn't even want to put it on. I think I wanted to watch Along Came Polly. I think I might have even put on Along Came Polly for a little while. And it was Rasheen who was like, no, we're going to watch something proper. Put on the Truman Show.
So you put on the Truman Show?
Yeah.
No one has ever said, I want to watch Along Came Polly.
And then I was like, I can't leave America having not had a Taco Bell.
Okay, hold on. Because Jonesy's touched on something quite important. He said, so you don't like Along Came Polly?
No, it's a film I've never looked at and thought I want to put this on.
It is such a quality movie. My wife is the same. She's like, Along Came Polly is like the worst film. I was like, it's fucking hilarious.
It's a very good movie.
You dudes have terrible taste, so, you know, would...
Do you know who doesn't have terrible taste?
Not true.
Philip Seymour Hoffman. And if you say he does, then you're spitting on his grave.
Fair enough.
But yeah, I decided during the Truman Show that I couldn't leave America without having Taco Bell at least once in my life. So we Postmates a bunch of like shitloads of Taco Bell.
So good.
It was good. It was good. And I still get email from Postmates now.
Well, you got me jonesing for a Taco Bell, I'll tell you that much.
We can't. Well, we have them here in England now, but none of us live close enough to any of them. I think.
We had one, didn't we? We had one up in. We went to a stag do. Do you remember? And then you and I went to get Taco Bell.
Oh, that's right. That was in Leeds.
We got a couple. We got a couple ordered to the ATG offices once.
Yeah. Jonesy didn't get involved in that stuff. Jonesy, that was by the time you were sat on the floor below us, you know, working with all your other friends. So we didn't really get you involved.
Yeah, but we have bad nacho cheese. If people don't know this about the UK, you can't get proper nacho cheese in the UK, and that is even true of Taco Bell, which just makes it not as good. So there's nothing you can do about it.
I think your definition of cheese is very loose there.
No, like the proper like liquid nacho cheese that you want to dip your nachos in.
Yeah,
you can't buy it in the UK.
Stand by my statement.
Yeah, go straight back to what Chris said. Your definition of cheese may be slightly off.
There is no definition of that cheese is that cheese.
There is no definition of cheese. Cheese defies description.
Yeah,
cheese is whatever you want it to be, man.
When you look at the ingredients on that pot of Jonesy's nacho cheese, first ingredient sugar, second ingredient water. It's like,
what does this have to do with the fact that you can't buy nacho cheese in the UK? Like, this is irrelevant. Whether you like nacho cheese,
I think what Chris is saying is that you
can't buy it
in the UK. You can't buy a yellow paste that tastes like the other yellow paste that you identify as nacho cheese.
No,
that's
you
what Chris
can't
is
buy.
saying.
You cannot buy nacho cheese in the UK.
Yes, because it's illegal. Because you cannot take a donkey and call it a horse.
So right now, because Chris doesn't like nacho cheese.
I love nacho. No.
Sells it.
No, hold on.
He's annoyed because he's saying that you shouldn't be able to sell it. You're like a nacho cheese Nazi, Chris.
I am. How dare you? Why does it always come back to the Nazis, Alex Jones? You and Nazis. Oh my goodness, you've said it. No, I love nacho cheese. But anyway, guys, we're not a nacho cheese podcast.
Oh, imagine though. The sponsorships we'd get free samples of everything.
Do you know
not everything, just nacho cheese.
There is one place you can buy nacho cheese in the UK sometimes, and it's from Costco, but it comes in like a 5-litre can.
Do it.
Oh wow!
I've got one in my kitchen right now. But the problem is when you open that bad boy up, you can't eat 5 litres of nacho cheese in before it goes off. So
because it's like consumed within 2 days. How?
Yeah, you don't have long.
I reckon you should do one of those. They're out of vogue now, but I think you can bring them back where you just fill a bathtub full of nacho cheese and then just dip your whole body into it.
Oh, that would be a terrible way, but I might do it.
Oh, I've got it. I know how you can actually update it to 2021. You make yourself a Doritos bikini, right? And then you jump in.
Like, can I ask one last question on this for Jonesy?
Yeah.
Like, for as much as I understand the appeal of sometimes buying the kind of the pre-made versions of these products, and there is a difference between pre-made and homemade. But if you not
make it at home,
I was going to say, have you not ever just tried making your own cheese sauce, which is essentially what this is?
No, it's not cheese.
Okay, and then here's the question: if it's not cheese sauce, what makes it different?
So Chris is right. It's not cheese. It's not like actual cheese sauce. It is like this weird mix of horrendous chemicals that probably like rot your insides. But so you cannot make it. Like if you try and make like a normal cheese sauce, right? It doesn't taste anything like nacho cheese. But if you like the nacho cheese, like I don't even know what it is. It's barely cheese, but it's good. And if you can't make it at home, what do you do if you can't buy it?
I don't know. I watched someone make a. They call it a queso, which is like a cheese dip that I think is popular in Texas.
Queso. Yeah, that's like Mexican Latin food, right?
Yeah, and he made it with like processed cheese slices, which made me think, I wonder if that tastes like what Jonesy thinks nacho cheese tastes like.
Jonesy's going to do some hardcore YouTube searching after this.
Maybe.
So you can import it from the US. You can import nacho cheese, but it's really expensive. But I will get some cans of nacho cheese, Jamie, and you can try it, and you can then. Your taste buds can tell you.
I don't know if I want to.
No, dude, I remember Jonesy bought a little can of the Fritos jalapeno nacho cheese, and that stuff is like.
It grosses me out, especially when it's cold.
So
it grosses me out.
Yeah, don't eat it cold. You have to warm it up. But it's really good. That stuff is so tasty.
Man, the
the
jalapeno stuff is fucking amazing. Anyway, fellas. This week in video games, there's been some Pokemon news. We've got an update to E3 2021. But before we get to any of that stuff, fellas, there's a new Aliens game.
There is indeed.
That's about as excited as I thought you would be.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought you were going to say that's as excited as you are. I thought you'd be hyped for this. For some reason.
I mean, it looks okay. I don't know. It looks good. And I think if this game had come out maybe 2 years ago, I'd be quite amped for it. But yeah, so for those who don't know, it's Aliens Fireteam, a 3-player co-op shooter. It's next-gen and current-gen and PC, set 23 years after the original trilogy, 11 different types of xenomorphs, 9 other enemy types like androids, blah, 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 5 classes, 30 guns, RPG progression somehow, and the gameplay is meant to be similar to Left 4 Dead. So those are all ticking all the boxes that you'd kind of want in an Aliens game, but I don't know. I think there's just been so many bad Aliens games coming out. Okay, Isolation notwithstanding. Just kind of...
I am disgusted right now.
I don't know.
How can you watch that trailer and knowing how aroused you two get for shitty Left 4 Dead sort of clones where it's just, I'm doing the same level 18 times and I'm going from A to B and zombies are running at me, and you get so amped, and then they show you an alien game where the aliens are climbing over the walls, there's queens in it, there's like pulse rifles that sound accurate, it's 3-player, it looks like a game we've been playing, Deep Rock, that we've been having a lot of fun with. It looks like that, but better.
Okay.
With the kind of the way the aliens attack. This looks wicked.
Let me lay it out, okay? I see here 3-player co-op shooter. I'm looking at my screen. I see 3 people. Will I play this game with you fellas if you want to play it? 100%. Will I enjoy my skinny little arse off? Yes,
I'm going to have to interrupt you. It depends how much money we've all got when this thing comes out and whether or not we get sent it. That's the real barrier to entry these days.
True, buddy. But
and then do everyone's children go to bed on time? Is anyone going to stream it? Then can anyone be bothered to play it by the time it's 2 a.m. and we can actually start? And so on and so forth.
I mean, one of those, yes. But
I would love to. I watched this. I was like, I love to play it with you guys. This looks so much fun.
If the stars align, then yes. I guess what I am saying in my defense, I know it's going to be a very unpopular opinion, but that's what we're all about: unpopular opinions and hot trash takes or whatever. But I just kind of think it's just a bit of a fatigue, I guess. Maybe I'll get over it if the more info in the game comes out and I see more of it. But it's almost like I'll get more excited by the prospect of a Back 4 Blood, where it's a new IP. And because maybe it's just like it's a known quantity and I know what to expect, and it's just like I'll be playing and be like, oh yeah, this is where this happens, and oh yeah, this. Whereas like seems like there's going to be very little surprises for me. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. But do you get my kind of sentiment? Like I'd much rather have new IPs than kind of retreading a fucking IP from the late 70s.
You say new IP, you say Back 4 Blood is a new IP. I just see regurgitated Left 4 Dead, and I don't see new IP necessarily, apart from the name is a new IP maybe. But when you say to me, fair enough, it is a regurgitation of games, movies, like media, trivia that's been out there for a long time. But I think you guys nailed it, or whoever said, we haven't had a good Alien game except for Isolation for like quite a long time.
But Jonesy, look at Isolation. At that time, what game did Isolation copy? I don't think there were any. Or very few at least.
It was, I guess I don't know the lineage. It came out at the same time. It came out around a lot of similar. Like, put it this way, the idea of a first-person horror survival game, with a stalking enemy that you couldn't do anything to fight against. Well, it was being explored at that time.
Yeah,
but it wasn't like a rip-off, I guess.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is they took the IP and used it in a kind of original and wholly unexpected way. You tell me aliens fighting, I'm like, oh yeah, cool. That makes absolute sense for the aliens world, and that's cool.
Don't you ever feel like you've missed out on some things that should have been done? And for me, like fighting the xenomorphs in alien style, world ships. So look, it just for people who haven't seen it, it looks like Aliens. The movie as a video game. Yeah. You're playing those Marines in different environments with all those crazy weapons. I'm sure you'll have like the motion detectors and like the grenades and all that sort of stuff. There are face huggers in this. There are the normal xenomorphs. There are, like we said, I think 11 different types. It looks from the trailer like there are queens and things, and there are like mini boss fights. And you're absolutely right. It's very done. It's very rehash of game mechanics we've seen and played.
Yeah.
But I can totally get behind just playing that sort of like a reskin of like a Left 4 Dead with that. Like that does it for me.
That's what I said. Like the core things there, I'm like, yeah, cool. Like I can get excited about the game, but for some reason I'm not excited about the wrapping. I like the chocolate. Okay. I like the chocolate. I like the filling. Don't like the wrapping, fellas.
Interesting.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Jamie? You've been relatively quiet on the sidelines there.
Well, like I guess. The part of the reason I'm maybe a little bit more quiet than you two, and I don't think this is necessarily an age thing, so I'm not going to make that joke, is that I don't have a lot of feelings about Aliens either way. Right, for reference, I don't know if this helps people sort of place it, but the first Aliens-related or Aliens sort of like tangential piece of media that I ever bought was Alien vs. Predator on DVD.
All right, which tells your opinion's invalid.
But that tells you something about what Alien was to me growing up. Yeah. It was this kind of thing that used to be good fucking 20 years before I was born. And obviously, like it's been revitalized and revived in fits and starts since then, whether that be in movies or occasionally in games.
Yeah.
So I'm not as bothered by the presence of this IP or the reusing of some of the ideas of the Aliens franchise as you might be, Chris. I think it's cool that things like Alien Isolation existed and that there are people out there who get access to a piece of intellectual property and say, let's do something different with it. Let's not make the obvious. But at the same time, it's, from what I gather, been a really long time since Aliens fans have been able to play a game where the objective is to kill and or shoot xenomorphs, and it's felt good and been good.
Yeah.
And sometimes like wrapping that around a sort of a known sort of idea in terms of gameplay design is a sound way to go about it. Like we were talking about IO Interactive. One of the reasons we can be kind of excited about that James Bond game is because it's not too hard to imagine a future in which they wrap the James Bond IP around the Hitman work that they've done.
Yeah.
In which case, you kind of got a winner already. Now, I understand, Chris, at this point, the issue is more with the IP than the design philosophy. But as someone who's not that bothered by it, like as someone who would be interested to explore those environments and to kill xenomorphs again and to use classic weapon from Alien and Aliens and stuff like that, then yeah, I'm down. I'll pre-order and get the chance to play as Ripley or whatever the fuck they're gonna do.
Yeah.
So
Look,
I think it doesn't. I mean, definitely part of it is that. So look, and you say it's not necessarily an age thing, but so I played Alien 3 on the SNES. I really enjoyed that game. It was a wicked game at the time. And Alien 3 and Alien Resurrection came out, like I was too young to go and see them at the cinema, but I was aware of them. And Aliens was one of the first films, I must have been like maybe 10 or 11 or something like that, maybe 12, where it was the movie you go to your mate's house who's got relaxed parents and they go, what are you guys watching tonight? And we're like, yeah, we thought we'd watch Aliens. And they were like, yeah, fill your boots. That's the way I saw Predator.
Before
Alien,
or after you're going to watch, Predator. Or
like all of those other films that you get to watch, and like the end of the 80s films. And it was always like they had it on VHS. And it was always that mate whose parents just didn't give a shit.
Yeah. Do you know what my one of those were? Yeah. It was the original like Jackass TV series before they started making the movies on VHS, and the first Blade on VHS was one that Nick Clapham had. Shout out to Nick Clapham.
Shout out Nicky Claps.
But yes, and I think because we've had it's a game like I think you invoked Alien vs Predator, the game Alien vs Predator. I used to really enjoy a PC game. That was great. Like that was, I think I've talked about in the pod before, but that was one of my first experiences of sort of saying, not really getting into it, and then realizing it's because me and my brother were just not getting it. Like you start off as an alien in that game, and you're stuck in like a room, and you can't go anywhere. And it was like, well, how do we get out? And it took us like maybe 20 minutes to figure out if you crawl and walk at a wall, you crawl up the wall.
Yeah, buddy.
And then you can just crawl around above Marines and use your little mouth to just pop their heads as you go around.
Man, that game was sick. Yeah.
It was amazing, but that game had the weird thing in that you could play as the alien, the predator, or the Marines. The Marines were terrible. They were awful. The aliens and the predators were so much fun.
Yeah.
And I think that we've carried that on in that no game has really done the Marine side very well. And I saw this trailer and I was like, this is how this will work.
Jamie mentioned pre-order bonuses, because that's what it's all about these days, baby. Let's get the pre-order bonuses. If they have a pre-order bonus where it's like, if you pre-order now, you will have a toggleable ability to invoke the bug that existed in Aliens Colonial Marines. Because the whole thing about the AI being broken was that someone had put a decimal point in the wrong place or something in the code. And it just fucked everything up. And that's why you could walk up to a xenomorph and they'd just be like, So if there's like a toggleable button to break the AI like that, I think I'd be down.
Like a little Easter egg would be nice as a reference to Colonial Marine, sure.
That would be quite funny.
I will say Jonesy mentioning or us talking about playing as the Predator reminded me that I'd already forgotten they made a Predator game last year. They made Predator Hunting Grounds.
Yeah, that was like
that
asymmetrical multiplayer game.
Yeah, which again on paper kind of sounded fairly logical. Like some people, it was kind of like going back to Evolve, wasn't it? Someone gets to play as the big, powerful monster with abilities that upgrade over time, and very powerful offensive arsenal, but also very good at sort of getting away and staying silent and going invisible and climbing the trees. And if you nailed the Marines gameplay, which was essentially just a first-person shooter, that could be fun. And I played the beta for that. I was like, this ain't it. This is not what.
But then. As the only person here who actually likes Evolve, I think if you'd have said to me, we've got a game called Predator Hunting Grounds, which is like Evolve, is it going to be a commercial success? I would say, of course not. But then if you said to me, I've got an Alien game, which is kind of like Left 4 Dead, a lot of those other co-op swarm shooters, will that be successful? I'd say, there'll definitely be an audience.
Yeah, the genre is a lot more accessible to a lot more people, I guess.
Yeah.
But
Evolve, one of the most underrated games there is.
Wow.
I think the asymmetrical multiplayer idea at this stage is so much cooler in theory than it is in practice.
Totally.
Like I don't know.
I don't know. Among Us is putting that.
Does that
putting that to bed, isn't it?
I guess that kind of counts.
Yeah.
Like, are you saying that they should add DLC to Predator Hunting Grounds, where the Predator gets a camouflage that allows him to hide as a Marine, and he has to work amongst them? And it's like, I don't know, that the Red Predator's pretty sus.
Oh shit! You guys have just you've cracked it. You've cracked it.
Although, well, I don't know.
Not that. Why don't they make my favorite horror film ever? I mean, I'm not a big horror fan, but I'm a big fan of this horror film, which is The Thing.
Yes,
yeah.
The Thing would lend it.
They did, but I think what Chris is saying is literally The Thing and Among Us are like, The Thing is basically Among Us the movie.
That's exactly what it is. Yeah. So why don't you just fucking take that IP and fucking make a 3D fucking?
That's fucking yeah.
That would be sick, dude. You little fucking shapeshifter.
That would actually be really
dude.
smart. Well,
anyway,
there was a rumor.
Maybe that's happening. Yeah. Is that happening?
Well, no. I was going to say there's another game which I was going to mention, which is I can't remember what it's called, where you play, is it Unfortunate Spaceman? Where you have to, it's basically Among Us in 3D, where you go around doing the tasks.
Oh, yeah.
And you have someone who's
Spaceman
into,
wasn't it?
A spaceman, and then they can suddenly turn into a monster alien and they can attack you and slice you up and stuff. But it's not very good.
I guess the thing about The Thing that I hadn't considered with regards to how it factors into Among Us is that The Thing can change hosts. So you could be halfway through a game, and it's almost like the murderer in Among Us changing from someone to someone else.
Dude, that would be so sick, yeah. Because you could kill someone, and you could decide whether you want to inhabit their body or some shit. And then there could be like dogs around as well. And if you need a quick getaway, fucking just take over the dog and fucking scamper off.
So
I like this.
You can do all this, apart from the dog thing. You can do this in Unfortunate Spacemen. So you can inhabit a host, you can look like them, and then you can carry on and then take over someone else and then look like them. And then the idea is, I guess, if you find the body of the purple guy and then there's still a purple guy, you know who it is.
Oh, right, yeah, okay, cool.
Well, you can also launch people's bodies away in that game, so you can like launch them into space, so then you can't find their body. But having played it, and it is Among Us, it's just Among Us 3D basically, apart from those few extra things. It kind of lacks something. I don't know. I think maybe putting The Thing as a game would be better if they actually made it properly.
See, it's all about the wrapper. You like the chocolate, you like the filling. Let's get the wrapper on there, baby.
So we're saying do judge a book by its cover.
Always.
Always. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then also judge it by the contents.
Yeah. Okay, right. Well, judging by the content, some people have judged us by our content, fellas. And they didn't find us lacking. In fact, they liked what we're doing. And I'm talking, of course, about our generous patrons. And if you like what we're doing and want us to keep talking shit like we do, then head on over to patreon.com/SuperShow. That's Super Show. And, go check out our tiers. Maybe give us a little bit of support. That's all I'm saying. Could be nice. Some people that did give us some support: Aaron Cameron, Athletic Gravy, Shellshock, Hacksaw Book Read, Jesper Camdal Nielsen, Javela Cujo, Leo Murga, Lonnie Thompson, Magic Grits, Mindful Pig, Nathan Piers, Pastors Guild, Scary Omen, Starfall Kid, and Zach Cream. The big boys, Manuel Guerrero, Peaswad, and the Dude Abides. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've at the time of recording, yesterday put up another Patreon exclusive podcast, which is no longer called After Dark. It is now called Full Frontal. And I think I'm happy about that.
Dumbest decision we ever made.
Bullshit.
Look, just completely ditched the old thing and called this one episode 1 for no reason. There's we're gonna look back on this and regret it deeply.
I wanted to do an episode 9 and then do a scratch, like a strike through, but I couldn't get the formatting to work in the name, so I was like, yeah, fuck it, whatever. But yeah, head on over there. There's a fair amount of extra stuff, some spoiler casts for games that we've played. We also give early access whenever we do a non-podcast show. We put early access on there. But really, it's about the support, and we are thankful to each and every one of you, and hopefully we can record many more full frontals in the future, so be sure to check it out. But yeah, if you want to support us, patreon.com/supershow is where it's at. All right, guys, how about a quick comment, all right? Because this one comes from all the aces. The end of this podcast was like being the designated driver listening to your pissed mates in the back chatting absolute bollocks. Jamie making random shit up, Jonesy just wanting food, and Chris giggling at everything and anything. 5-star podcast, as always, fellas. Obviously talking about the last podcast we recorded, which I think we only wrapped it up like getting close to 2 a.m. Like yeah, so a little bit of delirium was kicking in, for sure. Yeah.
It had been a long day, to be fair. And my eyes were hurting and my head were hurting like halfway through that podcast. And I think by the end of it, just so happy to be in the clear and I've got all that news done. As you said, Chris, a little bit of delirium kicked in.
Delirium, some cabin fever. That's how it goes sometimes. And hey, I think the podcast was all the better for it, to be honest. A little bit of madness is always welcome.
You know what? I found more out about. That's a hard sentence to construct.
Jamie, are you having a stroke?
No, I'm just sort of.
How's your face?
Let me break this down for you guys. Okay. I found out more about that one. I'll be honest. I've got it now, but that didn't come naturally to me. I found out more about.
Okay.
I found out more about the Super Show than I ever thought I'd know.
Than you ever thought you would.
Than I ever thought I'd know. Yeah, just by googling it.
In what way?
Well, just that I didn't know that there was a movie called The Super Show. I didn't know that someone already had the URL onlyfans.com/Super Show. Careful if you go there. It is a man.
Hey, maybe that's what they want. And
if you want a naked man who goes by the name Super Show, then go for it. But like, it's just funny to me that like we could never get that URL now, even if we wanted it. Like that there's a Super Show only.
Well, I think that's
it's
also
just some guy getting his ass out.
It's got to be a minority, right? There can't be many. There can't be many.
No, I think he's white
as a proportion.
Wow, well done. That was top tier. But that's the reason why our YouTube URL is youtube.com/SuperShowPod.
Right, yes.
Because we couldn't get Super
naked
Show.
asses if you'd gone Super Show.
Yeah, that's how it goes sometimes.
Naked asses.
Anyway, that's what happens when you find out more about things like the Super Show.
Find out more about. I like it. Well, you know what I'd like to find out more about? What you guys have been playing this past week. It's catch-up time!
I'm loving the flair that you're adding to some of these.
I hope we do something with that in post, like where we like. I'm not suggesting you auto-tune it necessarily, but just kind of like
just like a nice reverb or something.
Yeah, some reverb would be great. Some studio reverb.
That would be cool. But then again, that's also a lot more work than we're probably willing to put into it.
Come on, so it's one effect.
Yeah, Jamie could deepfake it for us and put Tom Cruise saying it.
I couldn't. Maybe if you give me 2 weeks, I might be able to give you Tom Cruise. But
those deepfakes are so fucking scary. But we're not going to talk about the deepfakes. We're going to talk about what you've been doing. And I guess in the case of Jamie, what you've been doing is some deepfake porn, I hear. How's that going?
Yes, good.
Jamie films himself doing naughty stuff and then he deepfakes over himself.
Yeah, but I had to put a pin in that one because the footage was too shaky. I was using the front-facing camera with my left hand, and it was just a bit like it didn't come out right. So, like I said, I have to move on to other projects. The funny thing is, like the boys are only half joking, is I have had to practice deepfake stuff. Nothing to do with Tom Cruise, nothing to do with porn either, and all to do with work that I am being paid for, fortunately. But yeah, maybe I was about to say maybe I'll talk about that one day, but I never will. I don't want to cross-pollinate that stuff for some reason.
Don't cross the streams, Jamie.
Yeah, that feels like. But yeah, deepfaking turns out takes a long time.
Yeah, who knew?
Yeah, I have been playing games though as well. Fortunately, because if you're going to leave your computer on for 7 days straight, you can play a lot of video games in the meantime. All I was going to talk about this week was that I finally played the DLC for Control.
Oh, nice. Which one? Both
of them. The Foundation and AWE.
All right, split them up. Give us your opinion, like briefly, your opinions and your score. Because that's what we're doing now. We're an aggregator of 3. So
like out of 10 for each, or like as a collective? Or?
Hey man, of each, but you don't have to do out of 10. I mean, you use your own scale. You could have fucking five dinguses out of 86 Borgle Sloughs. Who knows?
Look, I guess what I'd say is that there's a part of me that's not sure what the right way to play these things is, as weird as that sounds. Because I feel like if you had finished Control at the time and left it there and gone and bought these expansions individually and used them as a reason to reinstall Control and sort of like rediscover that game and relearn the controls and the mechanics just for the sake of these expansions, I don't know if you'd come away wholly satisfied based on their length and what they do and don't do to add to the Control formula. Likewise,
hold on. How long are we talking? This one?
3 to 4 hours each.
This? 3 to 4 hours each.
That sounds kind of decent because I remember that Control in itself didn't seem like a ridiculous.
But it's decent. But like when you complete like one of them in one sitting, which is very easy to do, you're kind of like okay.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, it's but then likewise, if it's free, it's not decent if you pay for it, right?
And that's what I mean. Like, if you'd reinstalled Control and bought these individually, I'm not sure how that would have felt. But then again, as someone who played through Control a second time to get access to these on a new console, technically speaking, I was also like, playing these immediately after playing, 10 hours of Control means you're playing a lot of Control. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but I guess what I'd say is that I was looking in both cases, the Foundation and AWE, for them to add a little bit more to the formula than they did, for just something a little bit more substantial. I'll give them credit where it's due. They both take place in completely new and unique areas to each expansion. The Foundation, as the name would suggest, takes place basically beneath the oldest house, in the caves that run underneath it. And AWE takes place in the investigation sector, which is like a whole new sector. And they're all self-contained. They have the main story thread. They have side missions. But both of them have this kind of issue where the only NPCs you really interact with are ones they bring back from the main game. So everything feels a little bit familiar. And they both get to a point where once the story has been sort of like laid out in front of you, you just kind of play Control for a few hours and then it ends. Which was fine with the Foundation, where I didn't expect too much, and there are interesting little tidbits that expand on the role of the board or the founder, if those words, or the former, I should say, if those words mean anything to anyone at this stage. But like in terms of like new powers, you kind of get one in the Foundation, but it's only specifically usable in the Foundation area. There's a new weapon form in AWE, but it's essentially like a grenade launcher where you can trigger the explosions yourself, which is like it didn't change the way I played. But the thing that AWE has going for it is
Alan Wake, the man himself.
Alan Wake. Alan Wake is not really in it, but he's kind of in it. It's hard to explain.
Mysterious.
But then even that stuff, it's like, this isn't really a surprise, but AWE as an expansion exists less to have an adventure where Jesse Faden and Alan Wake are interacting with one another and working together and blah, 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 and Alan Wake is physically there in any one place, and more as an attempt to use the ideas that Control creates to establish the Remedy universe and recontextualize the events of Alan Wake within stuff that we now accept. So whereas Alan Wake might have been like some straight up like fantasy stuff with monsters and sort of like crazy like all kinds of weird shit going on, Control is the game that can go, actually, that's an altered world event, that's an object of power, and blah, 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 and give reasons for all these things to happen. And it's like, actually, Alan Wake did happen in our world, and it's just that's what happens when weird shit happens. That's the paranatural, or whatever they call it.
Okay.
And so that stuff was interesting, and inevitably there is a tease for, I don't know if it's more Control, more Alan Wake, or both. But I was just a little bit like, okay, yeah. Kind of like an excuse to play another 2 to 3 hours of Control. So a few more puzzles, shooting some more things.
Yeah.
AWE has some interesting boss encounters. Again, Foundation has a new power that tries to create some interesting scenarios. But neither of them like overwhelmingly fascinating or engaging, or like you have to put everything down to play this. They're just kind of there. So
yeah.
which means I'd put the package of because I think a lot of people are going to play this as a result of getting the Ultimate Edition, which has just stopped being free on PlayStation 4 and PlayStation 5 via PS Plus. The package of the DLC, I'd give a 3-star review.
Okay.
Out of 5.
3 stars out of 5. Yeah, 3 stars out of 5.
Okay, it's not bad. It's not bad.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Oh, any other games? Because you say you've been playing games.
I mean, yeah, but that for me always means a bunch of different shit, doesn't it? That means I've been playing FIFA. We rediscovered the joys of Pro Clubs this week, which is the game mode where in FIFA where everyone plays an individual player on the pitch and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
Warzone hasn't been going very well, but obviously the new season started, so had to get involved in that. Had to get the battle pass and start leveling up and doing my stuff.
You had to.
Well, at some point, you do. And they did some strange changes to the attachments in the Black Ops Cold War weapon integration specifically that meant that a lot of the Black Ops Cold War weapons were kind of redundant and still are at the time of recording. They essentially changed the properties of the... This is going to sound really neaky, but like a lot of the weapons, specifically ARs and marksman rifles, are meant to have some kind of suppressor that doesn't actually damage your ability to do damage at range, and if anything helps it. And in Modern Warfare, it's the Monolithic Suppressor. Monolithic Suppressor is what people recognize as like, hey, this is the suppressor that you can use that will allow you to still use the AR at range. Black Ops Cold War, when the first integrated, basically didn't have one of those, which meant the ARs weren't viable. Then they added one back in, which meant they were slightly more viable, but in reality it meant more that things like the DMR or the M16, the AUG were more viable as opposed to any of the actual ARs. And now they've changed it back. They've added a negative damage element to the bullet velocity if you use that suppressor. So a lot of the guns that were on the cusp of entering the meta, like again the M16, the AUG, kind of got fucked. And now you have to run Modern Warfare guns, which are kind of in a weird place where there's some extremely powerful ones, like the AMAX is still unbelievably dominant if you can hit your shots, but there's a weird middle ground for Modern Warfare ARs where like different people run like the M13 or the M4 or the Grau or the Bruin and stuff like that, but like there's no one size fits all solution anymore. Even the Kilo's not what it used to be.
This is where Jonesy comes in and says, "No, don't worry about the ARs. It's all about the LMGs."
No, I don't really run LMGs. I like the ARs, but I thought you were going to mention the FAL, Chris, the glorious FAL.
Like the only weapon that I've got fucking leveled up. Not true anymore.
FAL.
I wanted to ask you, Jamie, do you still have your love-hate relationship with Warzone, which was, the last time I played with you at least, was erring more on the hate side of it than anything else?
I've played less Warzone in the last, say, 2 to 3 weeks than I did in the previous, like... I'm playing less and less as time goes on.
Yeah, and it's not because you're busy, it's because you just don't want to, right?
It's because I don't want to, and I play with people who are better than me, and that messes up the lobbies I get quite a lot. We also now have one person in our crew who is plays on PC, which means we have to play with crossplay on. Last night we got killed by hackers.
Oh
shit! Maybe three times in one night. I've got videos on my phone that we were swapping back and forth of our kill cams. Some of the most obvious and egregious hackers you've ever seen. One match had 2 hackers in it, where you were literally we watched a hacker kill another hacker and then spectated a hacker for the rest of the match. Again, like we report these people and we film them and we laugh about it, but
no, it does.
It kind of puts you off.
Totally.
So I think what we're looking at the moment is, for anyone that doesn't know, the season 2 has just kind of ended up being not a dramatic change. They added a new mode to zombies on Black Ops Cold War, and have added a couple of new weapons, but none of those weapons. This is the issue with the weapons, right? They added 2 new weapons in the season, both already irrelevant. Like because they're just... Warzone is so specific in terms of the dynamic a weapon needs to provide, the profile a weapon needs to provide to fit into that meta. And if one thing is slightly off, which in the case of, say, the Farah, which is the new AR, great damage potential, but it's like the recoil is very hard to control. It really suffers at medium to long range. Still have the issue that I mentioned earlier of the suppressor. Then you're like, well, you can run the Farah then maybe as people run the FFAR, which is okay, what if you ran it as a close-up option and essentially had a potentially even a 2 AR loadout in terms of how your ammo was divvied up. And it's like, that's possible, but is that a reason to stop using the FFAR or a reason to stop using the MAC-10? Like, maybe not at this stage. And so, like, they keep adding stuff that people go, okay, cool. No one's going to use that.
Yeah.
It's
a problem that a lot of games have, isn't it? Especially, like, online games where the game comes out, and this can relate to anything. It's not just a case of, like, guns or whatever. It could be, like, heroes or champions, whatever it may be, whatever you want to call it. And the game comes out and it's like, right, here are your 10 to 15 things. These are built into the game, and what they do is they cover the gamut of everything that you need. So in terms of guns, like, hey, you need a sniper rifle? Here are 2 options for you. They're really solid. You need an AR, you need fucking a marksman rifle, you need a submachine guns, whatever it is. It's like, okay, cool. And you cover that gamut. And then obviously to keep people interested, you've got to start adding more shit, right? But you've covered all your bases. So you need to start making stuff that's like really kind of messes with the formula. Like, oh, it's really good at like mid-range, but its recoil is fucking dog shit or whatever it is. It's always that thing of like, whatever you add could never be as optimum as it should be because you've already got the optimum stuff.
I get that. I just don't know what their outlook is on that stuff because at the moment it seems more like guns fall into one of 2 categories. Either they're not good enough to be viable from the word go, or they're broken, and you're just using them because they're fun until they're fixed.
Yeah,
and like
it's one of the things that I like about not being better at Warzone is it's almost like racing, like race car driving. If you look at Formula One, every car is almost identical, and there's it's fractions of seconds, and this is how you do it. If you go right down the gamut into like people doing shitty banger racing on tracks, it's a lot more fun because you can kind of do whatever you want. At my level of Warzone, you can run like almost any gun you want because it comes down to more the ability of the individual player as opposed to the weapon you're using. So I do think that's one of the things that people struggle with as they get further along is you have to use certain weapons, you have to use certain tactics because everyone is so goddamn good. Yeah. So there's a little bonus for being slightly shit at a game is that you don't sort of run into that as much.
Yeah. I get the same as you, Jonesy. There's an interesting way of doing things that Dota does it, right? Every time they bring out a new character to play, a new hero, what they do is they purposefully make that hero overpowered. Straight off the bat, doesn't matter what it is. And the reason
people use them.
Yeah, the reasoning is that means more people will use them, which means they'll get a ton more data than they usually would. And then in the next patch, they just bring it down. And they're like, this is where it should be. So in other words, like kind of saying like, the patch after release is what it should have released at. But they just wanted to get those data points, make everything a little bit OP, and then bring it back down. It's an interesting way of looking at it because data's king in these kinds of things. But from what Jamie says is like they add in these guns and it's like, well, that's useless.
I think also like the Call of Duty community is very reactionary and like the word nerf is associated with a weapon not just becoming worse but becoming no longer viable. And you see sometimes weapons go on these strange arcs where like whether it's sort of like the initial reaction to the damage at range fall off of the kilo or the nerfing of the growl or the nerfing of the Bruin and things like that. These were weapons that came out, were obviously like disastrously overpowered, were quote unquote nerfed, and the reaction to the community was, whoa, can't use that anymore. And then like a couple of weeks later, someone will come out and be like, turns out like you can totally still use it. It's just not as good as it used to be. And everyone goes, huh, okay, yeah. But still, there's a problem where like the easiest example since the Cold War integration was the DMR, which took over the game to the point where like celebrities were tweeting about it and so on and so forth. Like, nerf the DMR, nerf the DMR. Yeah. That's our reaction to everything. It happened. It had to get nerfed twice before it disappeared. But that's the thing. It disappeared. Like, nerfing the DMR was essentially like saying the same as take it out of the game because no one uses it anymore.
It's like an on-off switch, isn't it? It's fucking mad.
I will just say, though, before we move on from Warzone, seems like at this stage, all rumors are suggesting to pointing to the fact that with the arrival of Season 3 sometime in April, Verdansk is going to get blown up, which is exciting.
Yeah, because I want to say in the latest version of the map, the rocket silo, the missile silo's open.
Yes, they have
the nuke sitting in the missile silo.
For anyone familiar with the Verdansk map, at various points there are these big, almost like statues. For some reason, the statues always look like the awards you get at the Game Awards. I don't know if that makes sense. Like there's one in the Snowy Mountains, just north of Military Base. There's one down like south of sort of like Promenade in like the hills. They have essentially like split in half and opened up, and there are missile silos inside there. And so they're gonna nuke Verdansk at some point, and we'll get some sort of Cold War inspired map to run around in instead, which will be fun.
Which is great. Like I love them doing this sort of stuff because they also introduced the shipwreck as well, which is the new thing near prison. There's a ship
and there's zombies on it.
But then what I like about it doesn't have zombies on it in the normal Royale mode, right?
I haven't gone there. Someone told me it did because there are these weird red circles on the map, but we've only ever gone there when we literally had a match last night where the first circle just cut off the shipwreck, and we were like, we knew people were going to land there, so we landed at the port, fucking stocked up, got a load out, and then just held people trying to get off the ship.
Nice. Well, that's no. Well, I didn't realize there were zombies on it. If there are, because that kind of leads to what
there might not. There might not be. Someone told me.
It's sort of it's scrawled off on the map. Shipwreck is scrawled off in red. So that may be. But then you do get to. It could have been interesting had they not nuked Verdansk. The question could have been: Is there going to be a zombie battle royale mode where the zombies come off the ship and then take over?
No one wants that. No one. It's Call of Duty. Yeah, because you like zombies, but it's Call of Duty's answer to everything. Like every time Call of Duty gets bored, they're like, "What if there were zombies?" And it's like we're over it. That's not what people want from their Warzone, in my opinion.
Keep it for your Halloween special mode.
Exactly.
But then, so one thing that Warzone always does, of course, it feels like every week at the moment, is they drop an update, and the update is annoyingly large. And weirdly, I had one yesterday, which wasn't. I haven't played for a little while. I played a few days before, so they put an update up.
1.33, I think. 0.33.
Yes. But bizarrely, it told me that I needed to clear 107 gig of space on my PlayStation 5, which is infuriating. I had 80 gig of space on my PlayStation 5. So I was like, what's going on? Made some space, and the update took 10 minutes. So it didn't need the space.
That update the update was a few hundred megabytes.
Yeah. So I was like, why have I had to delete something else just to update it? But one of the things in the update which was interesting was they've made, and it came with an announcement thing, you can now much more selectively decide what to install for Warzone and what not to, and it gives you a whole menu list of texture pack 1, texture pack 2, campaign for this, campaign for that, part of this, part of that. So they're really obviously trying to address the size of that game and how it installs but everything. But
that's all cool and all, but why don't they just fucking fix their compression and fix their fucking it's almost like fucking putting a band-aid on a leaky ship.
It is annoying because I don't have the campaign installed. I don't have multiplayer installed. I didn't install the free zombie thing, and it's still like 100 gig.
Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, look, fellas, you'll be happy to hear that PlayStation have come out saying, "Hey, expandable storage is coming in the summer.
Please come faster."
I said it on the Discord when we were chatting about it. I was like, just do it now. Like, just do it now. Why wait?
That would be nice.
Just do it now. Just because they said something about they need to be able to push out an update which will improve the fans' speeds or some shit because they're worried about overheating with another internal SSD. Right. But it's just kind of like, come on, fellas, just fucking do it already. You know what you need. You know what you need to do.
No, do you know what? I'm going to step in here and say, only do it when you know it won't break anything. They don't need to take any risks here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a fair point.
Well, this week I've been playing some more of the Outriders demo, which, if you follow me on Twitter at SuperShow Jonesy, will not surprise anyone because I've posted a couple of times because of the fun I have been having in that game.
Did you manage to play some games with Martin Ruffle of the Just Interesting podcast?
I did. So I finished a playthrough with Jamie. We talked about last week where we'd started and we'd played not very much, had we? We'd sort of put a bit into it. But then we managed to finish off the demo, get to the end of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
and I was playing as the Devastator, which is the tank class. Wanted to play through as a new type, so I started again as the Trickster class, which is a close range, like assassin class. So the point of them is to nip in, kill people, and get out. And for people that haven't been following it, Outriders has a health regeneration system, which is very largely based around the class of the character you're playing as. So as a tank, as the Devastator, you heal up if you kill people in close proximity to yourself. The same with the Trickster. So the idea of the Trickster is you sort of sneak in, execute, and then you get the health, and then you can sort of like get out again. Then the Pyromancer class, you get health if you kill people that you've set on fire with one of your fire skills. And then the only one I'm not sure about is I can never remember what it's called. The Technomancer. Is that what it's called, Jamie? The one you played through us?
Yeah, I think it's called it's the something Mancer, all right? It mances.
Technomancer,
the Romancer.
Something.
Yeah.
Right.
But that gets health from like kills at distance, right?
Not even distance. I think it's just you get a percentage of the damage you output back as health.
Right.
But it's kind of a support class, so it has a proximity mine / grenade, a turret.
Right, yeah.
And a kind of rocket barrage. So it's things that can like be popped behind cover and do some amount of offensive work for you so you could retreat or reposition. But it's meant to be a long-range support gadget-based class.
So effectively it's just all tied to the numerous skills of the characters, I guess, right? Yeah.
And then each character has 8 skills that they can perform, but you can only have 3 on to be activated at any one time. You can hot swap skills in a battle, but it's probably something you're not going to do much of because you'd have to go into a menu to do it. You might do it, but no. So after playing some before the podcast last week, got to play a lot more and actually got into the meat of what that game is going to play like. And yeah, like really enjoyed it. It's a very good loot trawler. It has. We were talking about the world tier system a lot actually with me and Martin, and talking about how it's very much like. What's your game, Chris?
Diablo.
Diablo.
Diablo, yeah.
Whereby you can rerun the same thing again and again, and you can turn the difficulty up through world tiers. I think there's 1 to 15 world tiers, and it gives you
okay.
loot, like better loot, better unlocks,
yeah,
makes things harder, etc., etc. Yeah, but no, really enjoying it. The Trickster's a quality class as well that I've been playing through as. Although I am still thinking that I'm going to play that game properly as a Devastator because that's just too much fun to get.
So you reckon you're definitely going to pick it up?
I have pre-ordered it.
You scumbag!
Talking about pre-order bonuses.
Yeah. What bonus did you get with that one, buddy?
I think it is a skin or an outfit for the different outfit for the male and female, and you get a skin for your truck and a skin for your couple of the weapons, I believe.
So
I can't remember how much we talked about.
So all in all, that's about 4 skins. Yeah,
you don't get much. But it's no more. It's the same price. It's one of those. You don't pay anything extra for it.
I love it. Yeah, cool.
To answer your question, Jonesy, I think when we came on last time, we basically just played like you'd only played what you streamed, right? Like you basically played about half an hour of the after the ability, so the class select screen.
Yeah, because the demo only dropped 5 hours before we started getting the podcast.
We had to watch the PlayStation thing.
Yeah,
2 hours after it dropped.
So, but the one thing about this game is which is a problem that I think all games suffer from, and we suffer from, is that you can put out a demo, you play a bit of it, and you're like, oh, if they do X, Y, Z, which looks like what they're alluding to with the trailer, this could be a phenomenal game with a great campaign and a really enjoyable drop-in, drop-out co-op experience that you can play with friends or with randoms if you really wanted to. But the question about how that all implements is still massively open. So Jamie was telling me, because I didn't know, but the way that game's set up is that you have like because you're an outrider, right? So your whole thing is that you're trying to push the boundaries of where you exist on this planet, and there's sort of like this perpetual war going on. But you have a truck, which is your base of operations, and you can customize it to quite a large degree. One of the skins you get with the pre-order, and then that is like your forward operating base.
Skins.
One of the 4 skins. So that is your forward operating base, and then you can sort of go to a new area, and then you do missions in that area, and then you go to another area and do missions in that area. But how varied they really are! Like the trailers make it look incredible, but I think we're going to be a little bit let down. But the gameplay,
in terms of variety,
like some of the trailers show snowy environments, jungle environments, like loads of different types of enemies. This all sort of crazy over the top like lore of this world. I don't think we're going to see half that personally in the actual game, because it just seems like too much. Maybe I'm wrong, but a lot of fun. A very derivative game. Like I shared a picture on my Twitter, and someone responded and said they thought it was Destiny. Like it looks the menus look so similar to Destiny.
Yeah, you said it last week, right?
Yeah, and it's a wicked game. It's Gears of War, Destiny, and like a few other things all rolled into one, and it's cool so far. I'm really enjoying it.
Nice.
But I did also start playing something else because I watched Robin of Just Interesting play some Rocket League, and it really made me want to play more Rocket League. So I downloaded that, and I've been back in the arena.
Yeah,
heading balls.
Jesus, wow. How's that been going for you?
Do you know what? Really good, actually. I'd never done the ranked matches before, and I thought I'd hop in and do some ranked stuff.
Did you get destroyed? Did you manage to hold your own?
With random teammates as well?
Yeah, just all random people, yeah. So you can just hop, because when you go into that game, you can choose to do, casual or the competitive stuff. And I'm not very good, like I haven't played it for a long time, but there's something I quite liked about playing with people that are slightly better. Some of the casual games are a little bit too, Jesus Christ, everyone's running around like don't know how to do anything, and it's just a bit of a mess.
Yeah, I was going to ask what the matchmaking is like in that thing, because is it just like, there must be some form of match, all games have some form of matchmaking, but is it kind of like...
Yeah, for sure there is, yeah. I think the casual isn't. I don't think there's matchmaking in the casual side of it, but then when you play the ranked matches, you play 10 games, and then it ranks you.
It ranks you,
puts you in a lobby. So I don't even know. I read it and I laughed to myself because I was like, I bet I'm the bottom rank. But because it was like you're gold 3, tier 3. And I thought, they've obviously called it that to make you think, oh, I'm in gold, but gold 3, tier 3 could be the bottom. And then it could be all the way up to platinum 1 or diamond 1 or whatever. So I'm not by any stretch good at Rocket League, but...
Okay, but did you hold your own? Did you hold your own? That's the
I hold my own.
Thing.
I play Rocket League like I play football, in that I don't have much skill, but when I go for it, boy, do I go for it. And I get quite a few of those epic saves, which is a good feeling, smashing the ball out at the last second and pissing off the other team, which is great.
Good stuff.
Decent.
Yeah. If I was playing Rocket League with you guys, do you think I'd get flamed because I'm not able to touch the ball?
Probably.
Not from what I've played recently.
No, I'd flame him 100%.
Oh right.
Oh yeah.
This is true.
No, I played with quite a few people that are probably on your sort of level.
Every time Chris let a goal in, I'd just spam nice save, nice save, nice save.
Wow. Yeah. Great.
That's the kind of Rocket League player I am.
GG easy, right?
No, just GG, no easy.
Just GG, no easy.
We're polite boys. We're polite boys.
Polite boys. Change our channel name. The Polite Boys.
I thought I might stream some Rocket League because I've been enjoying it a lot, and I thought it's one of those you can sort of sit down, plug in, and play, and it's
fellas. I mean, more so than I am, most definitely. You guys are set up to stream in the best fucking possible way. Just stream. Just do it.
I can think of at least one thing that stops me from doing that whenever I want.
Well, not whenever you want, but
Yeah, I was going to say, so like,
weird comment.
I'm unemployed. Okay, big deal.
I didn't say anything.
For people that don't know, literally, like behind this are my stairs, and there is where my 2 toddlers sleep. So yeah, that stops me streaming a reasonable amount. Also, they're here all day, so until that's not the case,
it's a bit difficult. I get it. Well, I'll tell you what.
I have to work in the evenings because I have to pretend I'm working while I'm recording podcasts during the day.
Hey, life is tough. Deal with it.
I'm not the one complaining.
The school's open or going to open next week. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to do some more streaming soon.
Oh yeah,
Jonesy's life is about to change, and you know all that's gonna change in his daily routine. He'll just jerk off more.
Yeah. Sleep more and that.
Yeah.
Play more Rocket League.
But yeah, guys, talking about streaming and what I've been doing in the past week.
Talking about what?
Talking about streaming, yeah. Talking about jerking off. I streamed on Monday. I streamed some Titanfall 2 single player.
Yes.
Because why the fuck not?
Do you know what I love about Chris's streams is often you don't know if you're going to get like just a normal stream or if you're going to get like a retro stream. Chris loves a retro stream.
No.
I missed it, but I missed the Titanfall 2 stream. I was so annoyed. I looked to them. Do you know what it said?
Yeah, the VOD's there.
Sorry?
The VOD's there, so go check it out.
I will check it out. I will.
Do you know what I love about Chris's stream? Is actually technically the thing that happens a little bit before Chris's stream, which is when Chris, being the good influencer that he is, puts out a poll on his Twitter to ask people which game he should play. And every time I look at the poll, I'm like, okay, that's the game Chris wants to play. That's the game Chris doesn't want to play. And these are the ones he doesn't care about. Which one do you think I vote for?
Okay, so
every time.
Yeah, you fuck. The options I gave were Curse of the Dead Gods, Valheim, Titanfall 2 single player, and Dota. Because Dota, it's just what I do. And yeah, there was a time that Valheim was fucking acing it, and I was like, fuck, man.
This guy.
Do you know what? I nearly voted Valheim. I didn't vote, and I should have voted Valheim.
The reason I vote Valheim is because I just feel like there's maybe it's just the relationship we have, but I just want to see you play something that I know isn't your kind of game, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, this is why I was so apprehensive about it. I kind of I would have done it for sure, but thank goodness Titanfall 2 took the lead, and I'm quite happy about that. Because Titanfall 2, fucking guess what, fellas? Still a great looking game, still plays great. And just overall, fucking the best
Fantastic
FPS. Some people have said it's the best FPS game ever, but
at least one I know of.
But yeah, the thing about Valheim though is like, I like that whole fucking. It's like Minecraft, and when you guys were playing Grounded, that whole craft this thing to build this material to craft the next thing. I don't like that, and I understand Valheim's not entirely all about that, but it's a big chunk. I just don't think I could. Like, if we're doing a multiplayer and I could just divert the attention by running around, then that would be cool. But if I'm doing a solo, fucking no, it'll be just the most. The thing that would stop me from ever doing it is I think it would make for the dullest fucking stream.
But then you've got like Steph, who's been streaming it like 5 times a week for like 3 weeks now and can't get enough of it.
But I guess as well with Steph, so he's stuck with it, right? And fair play to him. But once you get to a certain point, I've got all this shit. Then it's like, okay, cool. You can make fun shit happen, And Steph also plays with his friends, so they can all hop on a long boat and fucking jerk each other off or whatever it is. But we can't do that because how often do we ever have time to kind of synchronize? Very, very seldom, right? For games these days.
Well, that's what I was going to say about like games like Aliens, the new Aliens game that they've the trailer for, and games versus games like Valheim. If you can drop in, have an experience in 40 minutes with a few other mates, and you can have the full experience. The problem with a game like Valheim or like Ark or any of these sorts of like long-term survivalist games is, in order to experience the main mechanics of the games, you have to put so much time into them. So that's why I don't really go for them.
All you got to do is log back into our fucking Minecraft server and go look at my house, which is just a cave with a bed.
I don't even know what. I bet my house has been bulldozed over by now.
Yeah, I think mine's probably been demolished as well.
Nah, I think they're both probably intact. Probably.
Yeah. But yeah, look, so I played Titanfall 2. I fucking love that game, fellas, and I'm going to... Thankfully, it's not a long game, so I can finish it in, like, say, the next 2 streams. But that was really cool. Got my first tip donation, as it were.
Oh,
so, yeah.
Nice. Did you set it up to PayPal?
No, SE Pay, which is Stream Elements.
Oh, blimey.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They've got, like, some shit called claim back protection or something. I don't know, fucking whatever. Big wank. I'm not doing it for the money, but it's always fun to like be like, hey, someone's fucking giving you cash. It helps. But yeah, it does kind of make me feel very... I think my settings are a little bit screwed up because lately when I've been streaming, my frame rate has been dipping quite substantially. Not necessarily in my games, but just the stream itself. So I got to tinker around a bit. But it does make me kind of think like, God damn it, I need to just get a PC and stop with this laptop business. But anyway, other than that, I haven't played... Yeah. Yeah. Well, I always knew it, but, my financial situation's not there. That's why those tips help. all those measly bits that Peaswad and Martin send me, I'm accumulating them, fellas. And in the year 2028, I will be able to afford a motherboard. So I'm looking forward to it. Yeah. No, but yeah, Titanfall 2. I fucking love that game, fellas. And that's all I've been playing. I haven't been playing Dota. I haven't even been playing Magic the Gathering Arena. I've been watching a lot of TV. Finished The Patriot, which I mentioned last week on the pod on Amazon Prime. Really fucking good show. Cannot recommend it highly enough. But other than that, I don't know. I think. Can I just give a little bit of an aside? When it comes to recovering from COVID, like as badly as I got it, it's tough to be A, motivated for anything, but B, to actually have the energy once you find the motivation. My energy levels are like so fucking low, dudes. Like the other day, I think I got maybe an accumulation of about 12 hours of sleep in a day. And when I woke up for that last time, I was just like, I'm waking up exhausted. How is this happening to me?
But that happens to me as well. Like if you sleep too long, you feel terrible.
Yeah, but it wasn't 12 hours in one go. And I can tell you that prior to that, if I slept 12 hours in one go, I'd feel like a million bucks because it hardly ever happens. But yeah, it was kind of like between 3 different kind of sleeps, and I got 12 hours in a decent time frame, and I just feel like trash. It's ridiculous. Hopefully, it'll dissipate. But yeah, twitch.tv/hotpanic. It's a good time. That's all I'm saying.
Watch
fellas.
Chris sleep on stream.
Yeah, I think I might stream tomorrow, but at the time of this podcast going up, probably yesterday. Stream during the day because I did it last week, and I felt pretty good about it, and I'd like to try it again. Also, because fuck it, I'm unemployed and people aren't hiring. Tell you that much. But yeah, that's it for the wrap up, right? I mean, unless you guys want to talk about how great Titanfall 2 is. No?
No, I'm good. I love that game, but
do you know what? I'm kind of with Jonesy, where like for some reason I don't know if I want to go back and play more Titanfall 2. I don't need to play the Titanfall 2 ever again.
Nah.
I kind of.
I liked it.
I loved it, and I wanted to go back into it, but then when I got back into it, I was like, holy shit, why didn't I do this earlier?
I cared about the multiplayer way more than the single player. That's the other thing about my relationship with Titanfall 2. Yeah. Multiplayer was dope.
I love single player elements to games, but then do you guys have this thing that reaching the end is almost a relief, and you then feel like I don't want to start that again and go through?
Certain games for sure, but I think that's why I love games like Titanfall, where it's like, hey, if you rush it, you can do it in 6 hours.
Oh, yeah, sure. There's some games where it's the length just prohibitively long.
Yeah.
There's something about like playing a game that even, so take for example, like, I don't even know, let's say Last of Us Part 2, right? 25-hour long campaign. Loved it. Thought it was an emotional roller coaster. Thought it was an incredibly well made, well written, everything game. The idea of starting that game again and like seeing that first bit where Abby's running through away from them and Joel saves, I'm like, no, I don't want to do it again. It was a relief to reach the end of that story.
Interesting.
I have no desire to just go, I'm back here again.
For some reason, I probably could play The Last of Us 2 again. Maybe not anytime soon, but I could see myself doing it one day. Like, even just hearing you describe the early Abby sections again, I'm like, yeah, I could do that. But I think that's also maybe
could
because...
do it in the future, maybe. I could do it in 5 years' time or something.
Yeah, but also don't underestimate the fact that, like, you guys completed The Last of Us 2 over the course of, what would you say, Jonesy? How, weeks, months?
Yeah.
I think it was like 6 weeks. I think it was about 6 weeks.
And I'm pretty sure I did it I think it was about 3 or 4 days.
Yeah.
So, like, for me, I guess when it's more condensed like that, I'm more likely to forget certain parts of it or, like, not have maybe as succinct memories of them, those sequences.
I guess you don't have the time to let the game cool on you, you know?
Yeah, exactly. Where, like, a game that I should absolutely really want to replay, God of War, especially now it's been given a patch for improvements on the PlayStation 5, is something I look at. Every time I look at it, I'm like, do I replay God of War?
I'm with you on God of War as well, because the idea of going back to, like, no-powered Kratos at the beginning of that, and then having to level up and stuff again is also a little bit like, I don't necessarily want to do that.
But you could do New Game Plus.
That's true. Actually, yeah, you could do New Game Plus, I guess, yeah.
Come on, man.
No, that's not it for me. It's not a power thing for me. It's more just like it's a time commitment, and how does the story play out second time around, and like, are there low points or lulls? Like, you got to
there was one lull. I remember the one major lull.
Which was the lull for you?
It was more thematic lull than anything else, and that was when Atreus kind of starts turning, as it were, and his bad sides coming out. And that was like a thematic kind of like, whoa. I feel like a section of the game is missing at this point, right? Because it's just kind of jumped it a bit. But yeah, anyway, I think if they let's put it this way: if we get a Ragnarok trailer with a launch date, I'm probably going to jump straight back into God of War and play it again.
Interesting.
Let's fucking get amped about it.
Refresh your memory.
Yeah, I could dip
if
back
I have a
play
PS5
a little bit. I could play like sections of that game, but I wouldn't want to play the whole thing again. I don't think.
Yeah,
interesting, man. Very interesting.
Interesting indeed. Well, we don't have to worry about God of War Ragnarok happening anytime soon. So
yeah, not in this century, fellas.
Definitely not 2021.
Yeah, I guess the only other thing that I want to catch up is look at this fucking hair. Look at this. This is getting out of hand.
Was that what you intended for that sentence, or was that a diversion?
What do you mean?
Was that actually the other thing you want to catch up on? Was hair? Do you want to do a hair check?
Again, he wanted to do a double hair check in one episode.
It's long. I won't lie, it's long.
All right, Pokémon Direct. Now, I am not a Pokemon dude, so I'm going to defer to our resident Pokemon fucking nerd, Jamie. Jamie, hit us with the lowdown of this Direct, okay?
Because I'll try my best.
Some people are happy, and some people are maybe a bit cooled on it.
Okay, I'll try my best. I don't consider myself a Pokemon expert. I want to say that up front. I
never said you were a Pokemon expert. You said you were a fucking Pokemon nerd.
I don't think I'm that either. Like, I'm kind of, I have very surface level ideas of what all these things are. But I guess going in order of release, shall we? And also the order that they were shown off in this sort of Pokemon Direct, whatever you want to call it. First up was Pokemon Snap, which is a kind of a follow-up to the N64 Classic, which sees you going through courses, if you will, in environments and different biomes on rails, and taking photos of Pokemon, and they sort of like outline some of the mechanics that we are familiar with from the original, which is like, hey, you can use certain items and objects to coax the Pokemon into certain behaviors or to coming out of hiding spots to get rare photos. You're going to get graded on your photos based on sort of what the Pokemon are doing when you take them, almost Dead Rising style. I don't know. And of course,
I think it would be great to see Alien spin-off of Pokemon Snap.
Do you know what? Yeah. You threw an apple at a xenomorph and caught it doing a backflip, so you got an S ranking for that one. Yeah, and I guess the other thing I remember from the stream, which of course has to be the case because it's 2021, is that obviously now you're sharing your photos with other people, which for obvious reasons couldn't have been a feature of the N64 version of the game. But is now happening.
Yeah, basically what it means is prepare your Twitter timelines to only ever see fucking Pokemon snaps.
For a little while, yeah, it feels like it's going to be that way, doesn't it? Yeah. But I don't know, like, I feel like that's going to be just like, it's almost like a stopgap both for Pokemon and for Nintendo. Like, people are looking forward to it, I'm sure, but
stopgap that's going to net them millions and millions of dollars for like the most boring game you've ever played.
It's got a cult following for sure, but I don't think it's going to fucking.
It's going to sell gangbusters. Come on, man. Switch these days. It's like anything Switch does turns to gold, and it's at the end of the day, like you're playing an on-rails game where you take photos of Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like,
to be fair, anything Switch, anything Pokemon, it's fucking the golden duo, right?
My wife smiled when I said that. Like, she is into Pokemon. What are you saying? Would you play Pokemon Snap? Would you play a game where you take pictures of Pokemon on rails? So as you're going around environments, you can just take it. No, she says she wouldn't even play it.
Fair enough. There you go. That seals the deal. Then we can already forecast the how well this game is going to perform. Failure.
All right, so
epic failure.
Pokemon Snap,
because my thing's gone crazy.
Pokemon Snap. There you go. Mr. White Balance just showing off his DualSense. Hey, do you guys have a PS5? Jonesy does.
You know who doesn't?
I have a toggle down here that I turn my screen blue on purpose, and then I hold it up.
That would be so funny if it was true.
Just to remind people. The next set of games, again, just focusing on the sort of the major game announcements and not like things like a weird digitalized version of Post Malone singing in a concert. The next game announcements were something that people expected and saw coming, not just because they were kind of like leaked and rumored here or there, but also just because it continues the lineage of this happening in the Pokemon series, which is, hey, they're remaking their classic games again. This time, the games that are up are the 2007 hits from the Nintendo DS, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, which are now being renamed Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl for the sake of these remakes.
That's I mean that's quite a substantial change, Jamie. I for one am up in arms with this.
I can't wait till we replace you with Brilliant Chris and Shining Jonesy. just the step up in quality, you know.
So one thing that with the remakes of Diamond and Pearl, I didn't play Diamond and Pearl originally. The graphics have had a pretty big overhaul, right? In this remake, they look very different. They're very cutesy and almost like weirdly Animal Crossing in some strange way.
It's like very much a chibi take on all of it, right?
I think this is what the issue we're kind of running into, right? Is that to a certain extent, you're always trying to remake a game with the knowledge and ability you have, technologically speaking, at that point in time. And that's been changing a lot, sort of like over the years. And we're now reaching the point where, again, you go back and look at the GB and GBA and Nintendo DS Pokemon games, they always had a strange thing. It wasn't as noticeable in the original art style, but like they always had giant heads, for example, relative to their bodies.
Because it had to be, right?
Yeah, what they've done here with this remake is they've said, hey, we've got, technically we can make something that's 3D and very pretty and stuff like that, but in order to remain true to the kind of almost the perspectives and the I don't know what word to use, but the look of the original. You kind of had to go in this direction. And it looks a bit weird, especially because I think in the battle system, everything is correctly proportioned. But like the whole chibi big head thing is just a kind of a slightly overly cutesy interpretation of what the originals looked like in a 3D format, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I don't know. Weird. I'm not a huge fan of the look, I'll be honest, but...
well, are you a fan of the games, Diamond and Pearl?
It's not like a blank spot necessarily in my sort of like Pokemon history, but you're getting into the era now when you're talking about Diamond and Pearl, where I kind of stopped remembering them super well, is what I'd say.
Yeah, okay.
The DS era. Weirdly enough, I came back into it in the 3DS era. Like X and Y, I remember like very well, for example. But like the whole kind of like the black and white era, for example, like that's kind of in this weird middle ground for me where I think I was probably going through a few mood swings. Hormones were firing off, and I was a bit like, maybe I don't play Pokemon anymore. And then I had to become an adult to realize, hey, dude, you're totally allowed to play Pokemon if you want to.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to replaying them and seeing what I do and don't remember and so on and so forth. But I guess the only other thing to note about these remakes that ties nicely into the big reveal and the big finish of the stream itself is that these remakes are not being developed by Game Freak, who are the kind of the de facto developers of pretty much all things Pokemon, certainly when it comes to the handheld series. Being developed by Ilka, I believe they're called, who worked on Pokemon Home, which was kind of the weird... It was an iOS thing, it was a Switch thing that let you store your Pokemon and transfer them between different games. The reason being is that it turns out Game Freak have been working on something else that I hadn't even really seen rumoured. Like, it's an obvious step, but this kind of caught me by surprise.
I think caught a lot of people by surprise, yeah.
Yes, so Game Freak are working on a game called Pokemon Legends Arceus. Arceus being the name of the legendary Pokemon in this game. And it is essentially a Breath of the Wild inspired open world 3D Pokemon game. That goes beyond anything they did, for example, in the wild areas in Sun and Moon. or Sword and Shield, I should say. Sword and Shield, I should say.
Oh, Sword and Shield have the wild area where you can go and it's more 3D and you can move the camera around and stuff. Yeah.
This feels like it's taking that on a whole nother level, and even seems to be flirting with ideas of like, okay, what if we shied away from the traditional JRPG format of like activating a battle when you got in range of a Pokemon? We saw what almost looked to be like completely like they were basically like aiming and throwing Pokeballs like manually, like Link throwing a rock. You know, like it was like.
So someone said it was like. And apparently it is an inspiration is the Final Fantasy VII Remake battle system, right? Where you're in this area. Okay, Final Fantasy VII was an open world, but you're in this area. The creatures are there. Previous Final Fantasies, you walk up to them, screen would shatter, you go into another area, fight these things in a turn-based battle, and then get your XP and leave. Whereas what they've changed it with is, hey, you just walk around and you beat the shit out of each other, and you can just carry on, and all that shit just happens seamlessly.
Yeah, it's super intriguing, and I guess like the only thing is, a lot of people would have wanted this for a long time. Some people will go as far as saying they probably went their entire lives wanting this, and then making it. I wonder if those people are going to be satisfied with the results.
Kind of feel that.
It's a weird one. Like I don't think. So I'm one of those people that's like, a Pokemon game where you get to actually throw the balls, walk around. The fighting is more intuitive and isn't so turn-based. I think that's sounds really cool. But it did seem a little off in this trailer. Like it didn't seem like there's still things that didn't seem quite right.
Well, they didn't show a lot, did they?
No.
They showed like throwing Pokeballs, and they showed how you can like do a dodge roll, but they didn't really show off much of the battling, did they?
No, they just showed
they didn't show any of it.
Yeah, they showed some shots of like angles, but I don't think you actually got to see much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was also just the strange thing of like, there are some screenshots you can look at from that trailer and stuff like that where you could see these huge, like massive open areas, which are like kind of impressive in scale, if not in terms of actual visual fidelity, which, hey, Nintendo Switch, Pokemon, like, it is what it is. But you kind of wonder yourself, like, hang on a second, like, if the only thing standing between like me and say that mountain over there are like small herds of different Pokemon, is that enough to do? Like you go back to something like Breath of the Wild, which had that world, but it was also like, okay, like, and but if Breath of the Wild was just, hey, you've got our combat system and you can run around fighting people, and if it didn't have, say, like the temples or the villages and like like actual quests and stuff like that,
or even
like, is this game going to have
system?
Right, exactly. Like all kinds of systems, really. Like, and like we don't even know if this game's going to have gyms, because, of course, technically speaking, it's a prequel. Like it's an old timey Pokemon game for whatever you want to call it. Like,
well, you see, it's more
what are you doing? Like, what? I don't know.
It goes further than that, I think, Jamie. From what I understood from it, is like you're the one exploring to explore these areas and find these Pokemon for the very first time, which seems really weird, because then it's like, well, how are you going to be fighting other people with Pokemon? So you're surely not going to be, right? If you're the one exploring and discovering.
It also then implies that like this could be a Pokemon title that predates the existence of the Pokédex, which is then like, okay,
you're building the first one. So
but then it's like, how do you know like how many Pokemon there are to collect, and like when you're done?
You don't.
Like, well, that's the thing. Like, what if you're creating the well? Obviously, that's the other thing. Like, you think of recreating the Pokédex, you think of the original 150 or whatever you want to call it. But like, this is set in the Sinnoh region, so this isn't even that set of Pokemon. This is a different set of Pokemon.
So this is building the first ever Pokédex in a region that you've never seen, so you don't know how many there. Yeah.
Well, no, you've seen it before, but it's just not the classic one. It's not not the red blue one.
It also doesn't, like, I don't know. I know you said, it's on the Switch hardware, but you compare like for like Breath of the Wild with this, and Breath of the Wild just looks so much better. And it's even more startling when you consider that, hey, Breath of the Wild was originally a Wii U game.
Yep. It's crazy.
Right?
Ported to the Switch for the launch of the Switch, so very little hardware familiarity.
And I kind of feel that, like, it's mad. I kind of feel that every time Pokemon tries to do something or something new, and Game Freak try to do something new, even if it's what Pokemon fans want, the fact that or the way that Game Freak do it, Pokemon fans are like, nah, this is not how it should be, and they get kind of angry about it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the feeling.
I think Sword and Shield did a good job of being what people wanted. I don't think it went far enough, but I think the reception to that was pretty decent, and people liked the steps and the strides that were made. In that, like I'm playing that at the moment, or my 4-year-old is playing it, which means I'm playing it, and I think it was a lot of steps forward. But this weirdly, as you said, it doesn't look good. It looks pretty. If the trailer's to go by,
hold on. I mean, it looks fine.
I don't know if it does. I genuinely looked and was like, this looks a bit shit.
The thing is, like, not to sort of like contradict what Jonesy said, but I identify as someone who, as like a lifelong Pokemon fan, didn't get what I wanted out of Sword and Shield. I found them to be slightly underwhelming, if anything. But I don't look at this trailer as the solution.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Sure.
So it's like I agree and disagree.
Well, are you guys
Pokemon game?
Pokemon game?
No.
Are you guys excited about Legends though? Like the potential of it. I mean, obviously the potential could be pretty cool, right?
In theory, this is. There was a point in my life where I probably would have identified the type of game that Legends is as the one video game that I wanted, bar none. And I remember like getting close to it. There's a game that came out on the GameCube. I don't remember the full name of it, but it had XD in the title, which I'm pretty sure. And it was at the time I felt like it was the closest I'd ever come to some kind of like 3D. Open world's a weird word to use because like aren't Pokemon games kind of open world already? Like if you think about it, but like open ended. I don't even know what word to use. But like, yeah, there was a time in my life where this was the only thing I wanted, and now it's happening, and I'm like, okay, Game Freak.
Interesting.
Like here's the thing, like the wild areas, which Jonesy mentioned earlier in Sword and Shield, were areas kind of between cities where the game would momentarily let you have full 3D camera control, run around an open area, and approach Pokemon that you could see from a distance. They weren't great. Like
and now they made a game out of that.
They didn't look great. The frame rate wasn't great, and they weren't particularly engaging. I didn't think they did as much as I kind of hoped they would for the sake of the formula. And as Chris, as you just said, they're now making a game out of that, which is kind of like okay.
I think I largely agree with Jamie. Like as not really a Pokemon player, like I tried to get into it. I don't remember I think it was with Ruby. What is it? I don't remember what it was called.
Ruby and Sapphire, Omega Ruby.
Omega Ruby, Alpha Sapphire. And thought it was fine, but just couldn't really get into that gameplay style. Then when I played Let's Go Eevee, and was like, okay, this looks all right, but again, it's still that sort of weird, limited style of gameplay where every emphasis is on Pokedex, battling, knowing everything about Pokemon because the world is sort of shitty and everything's really simplistic and cartoony. So but that doesn't matter because the main thing is like the game, because it's like a card game on a computer system, right? That's what Pokemon's always been. Yeah. And so I can see where you come up against people like me who want a really solid video game and people who want a really good Pokemon game where almost the aesthetic is the icing on the cake and the technical side and the game mechanics side is where it should be at. And I'm on that line where every game they come out which makes it more like a traditional video game, I'm like, this is better than the last one, because I don't care as much about that. But I can see what Jamie means about like if they push too far down the simplicity route, but more toward the visually appealing route, so like the wild areas of Sword and Shield, I thought they were a massive improvement on some of the earlier games, just because you had the freedom of the camera. You can see the Pokemon in the grass, for example. You don't have to just constantly bump into shit all the time. You can even avoid some battles with people looking at you, which is interesting. But for me, it's more of a game.
Yeah, but then that's such a weird thing, like to complement the wild areas for the ability to avoid conflict.
No, I'm saying just in general, because that's not the wild areas necessarily, but you can just, it's trying to be more of this isn't an out-and-out Pokemon game. But the wild areas in that game seems pointless because they are, like Jamie said, they're in between the towns. They're only there as like almost like an add-on. I feel like they were just like hey, look, a wild area. You could just
I think there's now evidence to suggest that they were an experiment, right? Like they were a test.
A test. But you know what I mean? Like you didn't even need to be in them. You could just ignore them and fly from place to place, or get on your little bike or whatever it is and just came through them and dodge everything. They were kind of redundant. But then you say to me, do you want more of that if that's the game in general? So it doesn't lock off the camera when you get into a town. I'll be like, yeah, of course, that'd be much better. But then I'm not a Pokemon fan. So like Jamie is much more Pokemon fan than I am. So I'd have to say that I'm not the audience.
I just don't think. I think I can see why people want that from Pokemon, but I've not seen any evidence to suggest that Pokemon as a franchise or a series benefits from becoming more like other games, if that makes sense.
I agree.
I
agree
with you.
This is a 25-year-old series that has become as big as it is by being like a basic bitch JRPG to the point where people don't even call it a JRPG because it's like, hey, what if all the battles were really easy and you only ever had 4 moves and you just, like, you know. Yeah.
I almost feel like the more I like it, the worse it's probably. Like the worse the direction it's moving.
Well, yeah, because you haven't. Guess what? You haven't liked it for the entire history, and since it's got more and more. I don't know. Accessible. I almost use the word gentrified, but yeah.
But you take out. It's the more. I think the more and more you remove what makes it Pokemon, the more it becomes almost interchangeable with other games, right? I suppose that's the issue. And like you said, Jamie, I've never been into it because of what it is. So the more I like it, the less it is what it's supposed to be. Maybe. If that makes sense.
That does make sense.
Which is weird.
Hey, maybe that's something that they're aware of. Like, I don't think the Pokemon audience is shrinking by any means, but like this will appeal to this will catch a lot of people's eyes, I guess, which is important. And for people whose eyes have been caught or ears have been caught by this chat, I guess it's worth noting that they are targeting a release date of early 2022 for Legends Arceus.
So that'll be 2023.
Well, we'll see. We'll see. So putting early 2022 is a weird shout. Like, hey, bro, it's March. You can just say 2022. Like, it's chill.
Yeah.
Like, but the remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, are going to come out holiday this year, so around Christmas time. And Pokémon Snap is arriving on April 30th, so not long to go on that.
Nice. Lots of Pokemon to look forward to.
I've got a question then, Jamie and Chris. Okay. What year does Pokemon go full... real time, no longer turn based, and you almost control the Pokemon yourself in a hack and slash kind of fashion?
Never.
When does it lose what it is completely and become that?
Never.
Well, you see, this is the interesting thing because Jamie says never, but I remember when was it Final Fantasy 12 completely ditched the turn-based battles, and guess what? It fucking worked. Like, I don't know how you do it in a fucking Pokemon game. Also, I don't care because I don't play Pokemon. But, like, playing Final Fantasy X, I was like, this is fucking pinnacle Final Fantasy. The way they've, coalesced all these systems is fucking great. Final Fantasy 12 came out. I was like, I never knew that I wanted this, but this is now the best thing ever.
But here's the thing, Chris. Like, can your party in Final Fantasy 12 consist of literally hundreds of different characters that between them learn hundreds of different moves and so on and so forth?
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Pokemon can't do that really. Like your party's 6 maximum, and then you can have loads more.
Yeah, but Jonesy, it doesn't matter if my active party is 6. I could use hundreds of different Pokemon over the course of my time. And if they simplify that, so that for the sake of making it make sense as a quote unquote hack and slash game, they're fucked.
Hey,
no, but
Jamie, if any dev could do it, it's Game Freak, right?
No, do you know who fucking does it? It's Bandai Namco. When we get fucking Pokemon Warriors Age of Pikachu, and they do it again.
I could see them do it. Like I could see them having like hundreds of characters that have relatively simple moves.
No, bro, like come on, like you've just said it yourself. I can't see it happening. The idea of like, hey, tackle is now X and now bite is Y and thunderbolt is B. And it's like great.
Yeah.
You've given 3 moves that Pikachu can have, but now it's like okay, there are literally hundreds and hundreds of other Pokemon at a time where by the time that game comes out, because of services like Pokemon Home, there could be thousands of Pokemon for all we fucking know, and thousands of moves.
What
about the trajectory of Pokemon suggests they're going to take a step back? Again, they literally introduced a paid service to add some kind of continuity between the hundreds of Pokemon that people are collecting game after game after game. I appreciate that Legends might go in a slightly different direction by creating a Pokemon game before the invention of the Pokemon PC or whatever it is, but
they don't put like thousands in every game. They just pick like 100 and something.
no, but I'm saying they're letting people take their Pokemon from one game to another to another to another, and eventually there will be.
I don't know. I think
you can't take all of those Pokemon and say now you control them directly. It's just too much.
I think with the simplification, like with Sword and Shield, I think they could. I could maybe not like going crazy, but I don't know. I could see them doing it. Yeah, if they can manage to pull it off.
Sword and Shield didn't simplify it though. Like
it did simplify some of the battle stuff from the your range of things you could do. It did seem more simple from. I'm sure that the number of like the number of moves and stuff you could do seemed more limited, and the number, like for example, when you get to that Dynamaxing stuff in Sword and Shield, you don't have all your moves. You literally have 2 moves.
Yeah, but Dynamax was a new mechanic that's been introduced to one game, and not every Pokemon can do it, and you can't do it in any battle.
That's still simplification.
I think that's an addition. I don't think there's evidence to suggest that the majority of the battles that take place outside of the realms in which Dynamaxing can occur have been made any simpler. In a noticeable way.
Let's say you take your Pikachu into a Dynamax, and then you only have 2 moves as opposed to 4.
Yeah, but that's such a bizarre example. That's such a bizarre example.
Sorry, but you were saying
that's like saying like a new Call of Duty game comes out with the exact same suite of options, weapons, classes, modes as the previous Call of Duty game, but there's one new mode in there which is a 1v1 mode where you can only use 2 weapons. And me going, look at that mode, they've simplified the whole thing. It's like the whole other game still exists.
But then when you're saying about could I see a game where they have battles where it's been simplified, and I was saying like they are doing stuff where some elements are more simple, and so could I see them doing it, letting you go, oh, you can have 6 Pokemon, you can live swap between them as you battle, but the actual fighting is more simplified.
I don't think that happens as a mainline game ever. I'm sorry, I don't.
I could see it happening, man.
You don't think Pokemon Dynamax is going to be a game?
No, I don't. Put a date on it, Jonesy.
no, not Dynamaxing, but I've got no idea. Well, they've been going for 25 years, and it's taken them quite a while to shift. Let's say it's going to take them another 15 to get to...
Quite a while to shift. Bro, 25 years, and they're technically still making... This is the first year they're not just making the same game like over again. And they're softening the blow by making the same game over again in the form of remakes of another game.
That's why I said, let's say 15 years.
Oh, well, I'll be dead by then, so who cares?
I could see them doing it. Because this is the problem this is the problem Pokemon have. They can't just keep releasing the same game forever because people will just get bored, and they'll get to a point where they're like, we can't make the graphics.
There is evidence.
For 25 years, Jones.
There's evidence to suggest that that's not as true as you make it sound.
But let's see where they started off like black and white on a handheld. It looked awful. They've had all that space to progress. Now you've got the Switch, which is a much better system. Everything's in color. They've even got the moving camera. Blah blah blah, and they would say, "How? Like seriously, what can they do for the next 25 years? They can't just keep going. Now you're in a new region that looks almost identical, but we've got this 2,000 Pokemon. It would just get ridiculous."
I think they can.
I think that's kind of what they've suggested. I don't think they've suggested they have any indication of up until now. Right.
I'll tell you what happens. You end up with like 4 Pokemon. They say you've gone to a region with no Pokemon that you can collect. You just have to take your 4, and then they go, "That's it. Have at it. That's your 4 for the whole game." And you've got.
So you think there comes to the point where Game Freak say, "Hey, we're going to release a mainline Pokemon game with 4 Pokemon in it, and the reason we're doing it is because you're going to directly control them in a hack and slash format." Jonesy.
Yes. And there'll be a battle royale Pokemon game where you.
Well, that's possible. The thing is, as soon as you open it up to either non-Game Freak developed ideas, or more specifically ideas they license out to other people, especially in mobile game format, anything's possible. I just don't think the mainline Pokemon series will ever go that direction.
Do you remember that rip-off game from a few years ago, which was
Temtem
leaked? Where it was more like an actual walking around the real world chucking Pokemon balls. Like, and there was a lot of sort of people saying that would be a really cool.
Was that Temtem?
Was that Temtem? It was.
I don't know. That doesn't sound like Temtem. I'm not sure what that is.
Yeah, I think Temtem was more just like traditional.
No, this was a proper like rip-off thing where they stole all the Pokemon IP and then they got crushed by lawsuits and stuff. I can't remember who it was, but there was footage released of it. It was a leak that came out, and a lot of people were like, that looks wicked.
Oh. I'll be honest with you. You know what Pokemon Legends fucking what's it, Arceus or whatever it's fucking called. What it smacks of to me. Back in the day, I used to go on ModDB a lot, right? And that's where it was like a as the name suggests, a database of mods for different games. And let's say you'd have Oblivion, and I'd get a total overhaul mod of Oblivion to turn it into Dragon Ball Z. And to say it was a little bit janky and a little bit shit is maybe being a bit kind. But this just seems to me like, what if one of the Game Freak developers played one of these really janky total conversion mods and was like, that's a good idea. Let's just make that as our next game. But fellas, I think personally, I'm all Pokemon'd out. There was a time there that you were talking about fucking Dynamaxing your Diglets, and I was like, holy shit,
Sorry, mate.
I think I had a bit of an aneurysm, not going to lie.
This isn't my fault. This is my kid's fault. I'm not even into Pokemon.
I'm not even into Pokemon, said the guy who's played like fucking 5 Pokemon games.
Oh, do you know what? All day I get, what does this evolve into? What does that evolve into? What level do I need to get before this evolves? I'm like, oh my God.
Jonesy's had to bookmark the Bulbapedia just so he can
I've been on there relentlessly over the last couple of weeks.
Well, anyway, my suggestion here is, fellas, that maybe we move on from Pokemon-related news to, a passionate fan base, and maybe move on to another overly passionate fan base, which is the Souls fan base, because guess what? Elden Ring. It might not be vaporware, fellas, because rumor has it there is a trailer that is doing the rounds within the people who are in the know. All right, and they've seen this trailer. Some of it has leaked online.
But yeah, I was going to say, by people who are in the know, do you mean Twitter?
Everybody, yeah. Well, the point was that it wasn't meant to be going around. It was meant to be going around to, I guess, journalists and whatever, to be like, hey, this is what we're reporting on, or whatever it may be. But yes, it has leaked, and, this trailer is doing the rounds. I've seen it. Tough to tell with the fucking trailer, because it's so... This is what I don't understand.
Awful.
Explain this shit to me, okay? It's off-screen capture, which means it was captured on someone's cell phone looking at a screen. I can tell you now, if I take my screen and record what you are seeing now, it would be in such great quality. You'd be able to make out such fine detail. Are they using like fucking a flip phone camera from the early 2000s or something to record this? I don't understand it.
Do you know what? The state of their bedroom that you can sort of see in the background, I think it could well be the case.
Yeah, fair. But anyway, I mean, as luck would probably...
Yeah, checking, make sure he's
unopened PlayStation boxes and a copy of Cyberpunk in the background, a mug, toilet paper. Oh, I don't want to know, Jamie.
What is that?
What is that?
It's a book.
Oh, it's a book. Okay.
It's Cormac McCarthy's Blood Meridian in stores now.
Cormac McCarthy. All right, but yeah. Knowing our luck, by the time, so we're recording this podcast a day earlier than we usually do, just a little peek behind the curtain. But knowing our luck, the actual fucking trailer will leak by the time that this goes up, and we probably would have had time to, report on it. But there we go. I would say, if you are a big Souls fan, don't watch the leaked trailer, which you probably have already, because Souls fans are like that. But yeah, it seems like a FromSoftware game. Well, what more can I fucking say? But the interesting bit about all of this, though, is, a bunch of rumors were flying about when news of a new trailer was going around. And one of the things was saying, it's going to be shown at Xbox's event at the end of March. And then I can't remember who it was from the Xbox team, but they came out and they were like, yeah, that's not happening. This is not going to be at our press conference.
Was it the Greenberg guy? I think Aaron Greenberg or something like that? Yeah. To be fair, he's usually pretty good at that, like resetting expectations or just being honest about, like, hey, like, if you're looking forward to our stream for this reason, don't.
Yeah, I think it's a good move, to be honest. I do think it's a good move.
Yeah.
And the interesting kind of slant of all of this is it seems that Bandai Namco themselves are going to be holding some kind of a version of a Nintendo Direct, as it were, or a state of play, but specifically for Bandai Namco properties, of which Elden Ring would probably be their headline reveal, I guess.
Yeah.
I just don't know what else they'd reveal. Maybe like another Tekken, or I just don't know.
Yeah, imagine this isn't there after all this.
There are a few things that apparently they haven't shown for a little while. So what I read online, Scarlet Nexus is one that people haven't seen for a while. Tales of Arise and something called Digimon Story are all Bandai Namco games that have been revealed but not shown. And yes, so at the end of December, they did register a trademark for something called Bandai Namco Next, which they'd registered for the trademark for the purpose of, quote, providing information about video games, computer games, and amusement machines. So I think what we're really learning here today is that...
Pachinko!
For as excited as Elden Ring is making everyone, we can confirm today, an amusement machine. So
Elden Ring is actually a pachinko. They're going straight... Yeah, Jonesy, they're going straight for the throat of Konami. They're saying, you want to be the Pachinko Kings? Bandai Namco.
It was going to be a game.
Yeah, the only name in Pachinko.
Chris, you kind of hinted at this, but the thing that continues to be the strangest element of the whole Elden Ring situation is the fan base, and I don't think there's anything wrong with being excited about unreleased products. I think you're allowed to be excited. I think you're allowed to be hyped up by games that have had trailers, and a game that represents a collaboration between two of the more revered characters in sort of one on the side of sort of like world building and the fancy world, the other in game development. But there were some weird takes around this stuff. Like people saying like, oh, if you're going to announce a game and go so long without talking about it, you deserve to have your stuff leaked and stuff like that. And it's like, come on, fellas. Like, I don't really get the how the logic tracks with that one.
I think the same people that thought that CDPR deserved to be hacked.
Literally, it's cut from the same cloth. And I think in some respects, like you said, Chris, told people not to watch it. It is a shame that some people have had to wait so long to see and see nothing in that time, and now we've got an off screen, like a filmed, really
like
bad,
a 1.3 megapixel camera quality,
an internal trailer that, for all intents and purposes, is kind of old anyway.
Like let's put it this way. Let's put it this way, guys. Okay, yeah, exactly. One of the watermarks that was on the trailer actually said like business report or something. So obviously it's like, hey, this is for board members or whatever it is to kind of be like, this is what we're gonna do, whatever. Might not be the same trailer, though, probably will be. But think about it this way: if you, never mind what the actual game turned out to be, which I still think is okay. But you take Cyberpunk, right? Imagine that trailer where we first got to look at the Quadra and, our first real look at what would have been the gameplay. Like, think about how hyped you were about that. Now imagine seeing that trailer before it was meant to be shown off on a fucking low-angle, dodgy phone camera. It's not cool.
Do you know what? I almost disagree with you, though, Chris. If people are thinking like, damn, should I watch this? Should I not watch it? I'd say watch it, because it is so shit and you can barely see anything that you can effectively go, oh, there's a dragon. What a surprise. There's a man on a horse. What a surprise. Like, and nothing else. It's so shite.
FromSoftware combat still looks like FromSoftware combat, even if you're on the back of a horse. Go figure.
Yeah. It all looks the same. So you're not going to gain anything. I don't think you're going to lose anything, even if you watch it, because you can barely see anything anyway. So
fair. I mean, I don't know. I thought the first Elden Ring trailer was pretty sick, but
I remember thinking like, is that it? Is what I thought about the original trailer, which is funny for a game that then again went almost radio silent for coming up on 2 years at this point. So
yeah, it's kind of crazy. You almost wonder if they do it on purpose to just kind of create adding hype and mystique to their own kind of brand, right? You talk about FromSoftware as being this like highly revered dev, and this is maybe just a way of kind of pushing it. But in reality, all it probably is just fucking COVID. All the staff got COVID, and they're like, you know what, we just need time.
There have apparently been like sort of internal issues on this project and internal delays and stuff like that. So.
I feel like whoever leaked this should probably feel ashamed of themselves with how bad the quality is.
Like, I just don't get it.
If you have something this crap, and then you're like, I'm leaking it to the world, like, You should be ashamed of yourself.
You know what else
You're
I don't
chasing
fucking understand?
clout, and you should lose clout for this.
You know what else I don't fucking understand, okay? They've got the file, and they're playing it on a computer.
Yeah.
And you want to leak it.
No, I don't. I wonder if this is like an air gap.
Well, maybe, but then again, there's still better ways to do air gaps. Because if you're worried that, like, hey, if I just share this file, it'll have something that can lead back to me. But why not just do a fucking screen capture on your PC that you are watching this fucking... No, dude.
Maybe. Well, how about this? How about someone had it sent to them? They were watching it. They showed their mate because they were like, I'm telling you, but don't tell anyone else. And then the mate secretly has the phone and they're like, they're trying to film it over their shoulder. And then the mate's like, don't show anyone.
There were people in the press that claimed to see this trailer months ago at this point.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's possible that it was like very quietly doing the rounds in certain corners of the world, and then someone was like, I'm going to stealthily record this off my mate's computer.
I will tell you one thing, though. The thing that maybe makes me the most sad about this Elden Ring trailer leak is the fact that Elden Ring fans are no longer going to be tortured by the fact that they haven't seen anything for the game since it was first announced. Because I always used to love when it's like, oh, a Nintendo Direct, they're going to show off Elden Ring. It's like, no, obviously not. Oh, a state of play, it's got to be Elden Ring. Nope. And after all of that, going onto Twitter and seeing their crushed souls, I mean...
I think they brought it upon themselves. I think the Elden Ring thing, it started off as a meme, and then it was one of those memes that was so prominent that they started to believe their own bullshit. And all of a sudden, they gave themselves a glimmer of hope of Elden Ring showing up at everywhere imaginable, and it was never fucking going to.
Yeah.
To
be fair, in terms of something like that, we still have Hollow Knight Silk Song, so it's okay.
Yeah, but even that, like, if we looked it up, how long has Hollow Knight Silk Song actually been out in the wild since we've last seen it? Like, how long's it been since we last had an update?
I reckon longer than Elden Ring.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
I can't be bothered to fact check on the fly, but
me neither.
I don't know.
My hands are quite happy over here instead of
the idea of a game being announced or getting a trailer or something like that, and then you don't hear anything about it for like almost 2 years is a bummer. But I don't think I could stretch further than that in terms of looking for a word.
Hashtag Hello Metroid Prime 4. Hashtag Hello Elder Scrolls 6.
Sure.
Hashtag Hello Starfield. Blah,
and
blah,
you know
blah,
what?
blah, blah.
A lot of the
Evil 2 was one of the worst for that because I was like, wow, this is wicked. I really want to see more, and it's been like, nope.
Can I give a cautionary tale? Can I give a cautionary tale? Because one of the most famous examples of that, Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And look what looking forward to that game got us.
It all turned out perfectly. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, look, I hope Elden Ring is cool because I will gladly jump into it. But there you go. Oh, all right, fellas. You want to move on to the next? We've got two more little tidbits that we could just mention. Ratchet and Clank is free for PlayStation. You don't even need to have PlayStation Plus in order to claim it, and it is available from now until March 31st. And that's the PS4 Ratchet and Clank kind of, what was it, like a remake kind of thing?
It's kind of like a remake of the original / reboot / tie-in to the movie.
Yeah. But that's free, and as part of this play-at-home initiative that Sony had. They did it last year, they're doing it again this year, and from what I can understand, they're going to do it for 4 months and release a new free game each month, which is, Sony don't have to fucking do that, so fair play to Sony.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah. And neat, and that Ratchet and Clank game was decent. It was a good game, and they're releasing another one in June. So, of course, perhaps also in Sony's interests to drum up a bit of interest around the Ratchet and Clank franchise. So, why not?
Why?
Do you know what I thought was a little odd about this though? Is wouldn't you have pushed it until sort of like maybe like April? Just I don't know. This seems slightly too early for the Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart coming out in June. It seems like you'd want it. Do you see what I mean? To sort of wet your whistle, then give you a little breather, and then the new game comes out. Whereas this seems a little too early for that.
But I mean, maybe they're worried about the fact that, like myself, people will go, they'll download it, and won't play it until maybe after the time that it's available. In which case, you need to give them enough time. You need to kind of give your audience enough time to play the game, potentially even finish the game before the new entry comes out. Like, if you released it the month before Rift Apart came out, it's not going to be as effective.
Maybe. And I suppose also Rift Apart is already on pre-order, so you could always play this, go, oh, I love these games. And
that's how they get you. Yeah.
That's how they get you.
It would be really funny if the other 3 games that they release in the 3 following months are also just Ratchet and Clank games.
They're just,
and it's like,
that's how they,
it's like, have you taken the hint yet? Have you taken the hint?
I was also like, I was about to say also, I wondered if like maybe March is slightly quieter for games than April or May will be.
It's not
but I'm kind of looking at it and it's like, don't get me wrong, there aren't any massive games coming out. There aren't any new releases, like high-profile new releases coming out in March that I can see. But then April and May only have a couple each anyway.
Yeah.
Like the closest thing to something like new that I kind of is on my radar is It Takes Two is coming out this month.
Oh yeah.
And Monster Hunter Rise, I guess.
Hey, that'll be cool to stream. Fellas, hint, hint, wink, wink.
Jonesy's playing it with his missus, I believe.
Oh, It Takes Two.
That's right. Yeah.
We're hyped for that. It looks,
you're gonna stream it, Jonesy?
Yeah, I'm gonna do some streaming.
Lady gaming.
Yeah, there was not
exclusively.
there was some previews for that went up this week, and I want to say one of the only ones that like. Basically, obviously, it's very difficult in the era of COVID to get couch co-op sessions going on because, lots of the people who would have access to preview events aren't in a situation where they can do it. But there was one household which can do it, where Lucy James from GameSpot lives with Greg Miller from Kind of Funny. Yeah. So they no, he's married to someone else. But hey, I mean, she can get wild. I don't know. You'd have to ask them, Jonesy. You'd have to leave a comment on the YouTube video. But I was going to say they put up a video where they again kind of previewed and outlined their little introductory bit of time with the game, and again it could be hot air, of course. At this stage, you don't know, but they were both like over like. I'd almost go so far as to say like overwhelmingly positive about this.
Yeah.
To the point where Greg Miller was saying like that, like he kind of liked Brothers and. What's the one with the dude with the big nose? They escaped from prison. A Way Out.
A Way Out, yeah.
He was like kind of like liked them and respected them, but like didn't necessarily enjoy them. But that his like brief couple of hours with just the two of us like immediately made it one of his most anticipated games for the rest of the year.
Just the two of us.
Just the two of us. Oh, it should be called. It should be called Just the Two of Us.
That's like the DreamWorks ripoff of the Pixar film, you know.
Do you know why just the two of us might be in my head? Because sometimes for one of the jobs I have to do is like I have to go and find TV shows and find like the best bits from the TV shows and edit them all together for someone else to watch. And I had to do a show the other week called Just Tattoo of Us, which it's like a thing where like couples or friends that have some kind of issue or beef go onto this reality show, and the gimmick of the reality show, it really is just as simple as this, is each is allowed to choose the tattoo that the other one has to get, and they can't see what they're getting until it's all like a grand reveal.
That's great.
It is the best shit you'll ever see. Because it's basically just people stood in front of a mirror, and so the reaction is like, "Oh my god, I can't believe you've done that." And it's just like,
surely they know that the other person gets to do it to them as well.
Yeah, but it's like, how bad is the other one going to go?
I can imagine that with
I was going to say, imagine if it was you two and you were both given completely free reign to get whatever tattoo that you wanted on the other one. You wouldn't know if Chris was going to get a little fucking like Nintendo logo on your ankle, or if he was going to do the world's biggest penis on your back. You wouldn't know.
But surely there's a point at which I'm thinking, what am I going to get for him? And if I'm going to go giant penis on the back, then I can't be surprised if he does the same thing.
Yeah, but don't forget that it's couples that are trying to work through their issues. So you almost want to say like, oh, I'll do something like...
Apart from Chris,
I would imagine... Yeah.
Sorry. I was going to say...
Oh, come on. This is ridiculous. This is what... I think, Jamie, you and I need to just work out our issues, okay, and go on to a show that I've heard about.
Just Tattoo of Us.
It's just Tattoo of Us. No, I was going to say, Jamie, before you fucking say anything, or I was going to say that I would imagine that the guys' choices for the girls' tattoos are always like 100 times worse than what the girls choose for the guys.
Yeah, a lot of the times they are. There's one relationship that I guess kind of like, I can't remember half the time because sometimes they ended and sometimes they didn't. But one guy got the tattoo he picked for his girlfriend at the time was a tattoo of her, kind of in this like weird like see-through-y mesh kind of gown, squatting, taking a shit, and you can actually see like the shit coming out, and it just says dumped underneath.
Oh yes,
that's not real.
Apparently it's all real. Apparently it's all real.
So what did she get for him?
It's not real. It's not real.
I can't remember.
So I used to work at MTV, right, back in the day.
It is an MTV joint, yeah.
And I was genuinely like not horrified, let down when talking to the guys who used to make shows like Pimp My Ride, and how much of that is like bullshit. Like where this sort of stuff they would do where they'd say, oh yeah, they're really into scuba diving, so we turn their car into an aquarium and we put like a shark in it, and that's what they really want, and they loved it. And the amount of stuff was like, no, that was the production team coming up with stupid ideas and saying to the person, we're gonna do this, but it'll be okay, So this is bullshit.
The Pimp My Ride stuff was great because it was always a case of, oh yeah, we'll add this fucking aquarium to the back of your car, but we'll do nothing to the internal mechanics of the car. But all we've done now is added like an extra 100 kilograms to the car because you've got a tank of water in the back now, and your car's fucked. So, and that's always what used to happen.
And it's impossible to insure and all that shit.
Yeah, I want to say they would also end up on like eBay or wherever
all the time,
like the week after, They pimped my shit Nova, and now I'm going to sell it for double the money.
A guy who was on the show did an Ask Me Anything on Reddit like a couple of years ago. I can't remember what he said, but I might have to go and look that up. I will also say, for anyone curious, it's called Just Tattoo of Us in the UK. If you're in the US and looking for the US version, it's How Far Is Tattoo Far?
Why didn't they just call it Just the Two of Us again?
I don't know. Yeah. The neat thing about the UK version and the American version, though, is they both stick with the same theme in terms of hosts. Whereas in the UK, it's hosted by the cast of Geordie Shore. In the US, it's hosted by the cast of Jersey Shore.
No.
So if ever you felt a need to have more Snooki in your life, you can go and watch that show.
Oh my god!
And that concludes my reasoning for why Just the Two of Us is a better name than whatever that game is actually fucking called.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah,
it takes. But
the dude, the fucking crazy Coke dude, he said that if you didn't, well, that's all I know him as.
Joseph Fares.
Joseph Fares. He was saying some shit along the lines of, if it's not the best couch co-op you've ever played, I'll personally give you your money back. Some shit like that. The dude's nuts. He's so insane. But I love him.
Yeah, I admire that. Yeah. The bravado, the ballsiness.
All right, fellas, and the very last thing that we're going to talk about in this decently sized podcast is E3 is in the news again because, hey, guess what? Their physical event is cancelled in a move that absolutely everyone saw coming.
Can I make a confession?
Excuse me.
Yes, bless you.
I didn't know that a physical E3 event was even still on the cards at this stage.
Yeah, they talked about it briefly, and they said that they were going to go ahead of it, but it did sound ludicrous.
Crazy.
I hope I'm not getting this information wrong because I remember reading about it when they first announced the physical event, but I didn't go back and read up on it now that we're talking about it. You'd think I probably would have, being the fucking host of the show, but whatever. But we were just riding with the punches here. Yeah. But I seem to recall something about when they first kind of announced the physical event and people reporting that the pitch that E3 sent to, and by extension ESA, right, were sending to companies to attend as, let's quote unquote, exhibitors, were that they had to spend like a ludicrous amount of money just to get their spot. So send us a whole bunch of money in order to appear at this event that potentially, non-refundable, to appear at this event that potentially might not even take place, depending on what it would be, and even if it was taking place, no guarantee that you get the numbers that we could ever kind of guarantee. But then also spend your own money to create the show and the spectacle that you need to do, or don't fucking do it and just host your own online event. I wonder which one
frame.
Yeah, I wonder which one they would have gone for. Don't get me wrong, like I've said in the past, I think it's a shame that E3 as a physical event is no longer around. There is something magical about an E3 week or whatever it may be, but it just does not make any more sense, and I don't ever see E3 coming back, unfortunately.
I've changed my mind on this because when we talked about it before, I think about the last E3 being cancelled, I was convinced that E3 would come back in a physical form. But this happening now and it being 2 years, and this is just going to reaffirm that none of these places need to put the money into E3, and we're going to have something new happen this year around the Jeff Keighley's thing, and they're sort of refining that and they're making it better. I don't think it will come back. You might find that they have like more what they used to have, like a trade show for industry insiders, but on a much smaller scale without the big boys there, possibly, maybe, if some people want that still. But again,
Jonesy, as a trade thing, then you know what? I could entirely envision everybody moving their stuff over to Gamescom. Honestly.
Oh yeah. To be fair, if you only need to do one thing a year, why would you need to do? Because the only thing I do think about with E3 is what about the smaller people on the floor who don't get the exposure that big companies get? They might want to do some business stuff. So maybe it would go back to more like that. But yeah, why would all the big companies and why the game devs and stuff? Why would they go back? Does this make any sense?
They wouldn't. E3's done and dusted. Unfortunately, I cannot see it coming back. What do you think, Jamie?
As a physical event, it's definitely a stretch, especially based on the direction they were going. Like the idea of them trying to have this sort of industry event, but also opening the doors up to the public and having as many different publishers and developers and studios. Like everything seems far-fetched in that sense, especially as you guys pointed out, we've now confirmed 2 years off. The only question mark, I guess, is how this summer goes. How competing with Keighley Summer Games Fest does actually go for them, and what kind of a digital event they're actually going to get out the door. You know, the ESA do still have some pulling power, and the E3 name will still appeal to some people, and they will still use the E3 name this summer, even if they can't do it in a physical event.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I'm not confident for them. I don't think because largely because like you guys just said, it just doesn't make sense for anyone to, get in bed with the ESA anymore. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I think last legs though.
Yeah.
Can I make a request now though?
Yeah.
For next year, 2022, we go to Gamescom and we do a little all three of us, because we haven't ever been to one together.
What? Mate, are you buying?
I'll buy dinner one night.
Okay. Thought you were saying tickets and accommodation. No, I'll do you one better as long as we can all afford it. No, as long as we can all afford it. I mean, I think Gamescom might happen this year. Maybe
in Germany. I doubt it.
It depends on Germany's vaccination rollout, but by the UK and the US's vaccination standards, by that time, by August, I think it could be back on track. You never know. Maybe not. But if it is, I'm going. And if I can afford it.
Maybe this year then. I don't think it'll happen this year.
Yeah.
I'd be very surprised.
I'm hopeful that Dota's International, which was cancelled last year, is happening this year in August. They've announced it's happening this year in August. I just hope it's still a viable thing to happen, because I really want to go to an international before the game just completely dies.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I want to go while it's still a fucking hot shit property rather than just a shit property.
Yeah. It would be fun. It would be cool to do a trip.
Hell
as
yeah.
the Super Show. It would be interesting to see what we manage.
Get Steph involved. Get Martin involved. It'd be cool.
Yeah, but
road trip.
Money's going to be the issue, though. That's the problem.
Boys, never mind. In August, money's going to be the issue. Fucking this month and next month and the month after.
This is the thing. The idea of paying for flights in 5 months' time. I'm like, okay.
Actually works perfectly because Chris is moving into a caravan soon, so he can drive us all there in his mobile home.
Come on, it's a motorhome, Jonesy. Don't disparage him.
Motorhome. Sorry.
At this stage, boys, it'll probably be a fucking Reliant Robin or something.
That would add an extra degree of spice to the road trip, I guess. Are we going to roll over as we go around this corner? Way.
But yeah, I'd fucking love to do it. We were mentioning with Steph as well. just do a fucking road trip, because it would be easy to just fucking drive there. But, depending on the border
I mean,
situation.
we could do that for, like, no money at all. Like, if it was just a question of, like, renting a van or whatever you have to fucking rent and just driving it somewhere, then all you have to do is food and petrol and accommodation. But
You know what I'm thinking, fellas? Stop me if you've heard this before. GoFundMe. You want us to go
fund my trip?
Chris, I don't know if you've realised this. We do a GoFundMe at the beginning of every single podcast, bro.
No, but this is a different GoFundMe. This is a one-off purchase GoFundMe.
This is like when Kinda Funny are like, yeah, we're setting up a new Patreon for our totally different channel, Kinda Funny Games.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it would be cool. Anyway, yeah. Hey, that's all we got for this week. Can you fucking believe it? I can, because I wrote the podcast template and we've covered everything that's on there. So,
have we?
Yes.
What about now?
Hold on, Jamie's writing something. Poop. Congratulations. That's amazing.
I thought it needed mentioning.
Wow, okay. Do you need to poop? Is this what you're trying to say?
No, but my eyes are tired. Maybe I need to nap.
I was going to ask how your poops are lately. Any spiky poos?
No, they've actually been really good. They've been really good.
Really good, yeah.
Like
I forgot all
really
about
well behaved. Really well behaved. Like good timing, good schedule, good consistency.
Okay.
No more tears.
No more tears.
No more tears.
Jesus.
Jeez.
Hey, that might be the fucking code word, right? No more tears.
No more tears is perfect.
Okay, fine. Yeah, I'll let it slide, if you know what I mean.
Oh, you scumbag. And with that diarrhea-laced anecdote, thank you so much for watching if you're watching on YouTube, or listening if you're listening on a podcast platform of your choice. Don't forget, we're a 5-star podcast. We're not even asking you to rate us. I'm just telling you. That's what we are. Just deal with it. And with that, fellas, thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Bye.
See ya.